All right, what's going on? Drive time, Tuesday afternoon, 13 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. Nice day outside, a little cloudy. It's about 68 degrees. Feels very springish today as we're about to turn our calendars to April. And as it is every single day, it's good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic. Porter Larson producing the program today behind the glass. We got a lot to do. Got a busy show, as you would expect on this Tuesday afternoon. Great time of year as we're looking ahead to the stretch run in both the NBA and the NHL. NFL draft right around the corner as well. Interesting story out of the NFL today. They are expecting a work stoppage potentially with the officials in pro football. And I'll tell you what, if you think officiating is rough in the NFL with the regular guys, wait till you see the replacement refs and their performances. So some interesting NFL storylines today I want to get to as we are looking ahead to the NFL draft this time of year. Final Four, the madness of March continues coming up this weekend. Couple of games on Saturday. National Championship will take place on Monday of next week. So we'll get you ready for the Final Four. How your bracket's doing. Couple of old friends in the Delta Center last night. Donovan Mitchell, Sammy Merrill, and the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to get the win at the end. The Jazz made it pretty competitive, though. But, you know, I think that's kind of a win. If you make that thing competitive, let the young players get a little experience against a good team that's trying to win, and then ultimately you maintain your plan, which continues to be in place. That's probably exactly what you want to do, all those boxes being checked. 6 games left for the Jazz, 2 at home, 4 on the road. The Denver Nuggets are in town coming up on Wednesday. And the last home game of the season will be against the Grizzlies. Then they travel to L.A. to take on the Lakers. Playoff positioning right now in the NBA. We talked about it yesterday. It feels a little bit unprecedented that pretty much every single, well, not pretty much, every single team that will be in the playoffs is already in the playoffs. I mean, look, only 6 games left. There's some battles going on as it pertains to seeding, but the teams that will watch play playoff basketball are already there when you look across the landscape of the standings. You had some really good NBA basketball last night in Oklahoma City as the Detroit Pistons have been able to continue to play well even without Cade Cunningham, trying to get him back prior to the playoffs or maybe in the playoffs. They almost beat OKC. The Thunder, though, beat him in overtime, and it was a masterclass once again from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who dropped 47 points last night. Now, the San Antonio Spurs, don't forget them. They beat Chicago last night. Victor Wembanyama, 41 points, 16 boards, 3 block shots. We'll get to some NBA basketball on the program today. A weird story out of the NBA as the Chicago Bulls waived Jaden Ivey after what's being characterized as anti-gay comments. Jaden Ivey, once upon a time, was a really good college player. High draft pick for the Pistons. And didn't work out. And he's going to Instagram Live, and he's making his thoughts very, very clear. So some weird stuff going on out of the NBA. So we'll get to a bunch of different storylines. The Utah Mammoth have 2 more nights off. A little bit of a lengthy break for them. Going to take on Seattle on Thursday in a really good spot to qualify for that wild card Stanley Cup playoff situation. The details have been revealed in the Tiger Woods DUI arrest. Told the authorities he was looking at his phone before the crash. Have not heard anything publicly from him just yet, as the PGA Tour will be in Texas this weekend, the Valero Texas Open, before Augusta next week. It's one of the best things about this time of year. Look ahead to the Masters. Do a little golf on the program. RSL welcomes in Sporting Kansas City Saturday for an early tilt. That's 2:30 Mountain Time. And obviously the World Cup is right around the corner. Fun announcement today. The World Cup trophy will make a stop in Salt Lake City. We will not be hosting a game, but you can come see the World Cup trophy if you'd like. Give you some details there with our friends at RSL. Good guest list. On the program today, we'll start things off with Chris Kamrani, our college football insider, college football expert. My old radio buddy, Gordon Monson makes his triumphant return to the program today, coming up at 3:30. And then my current TV pal, Dave Fox, will stop by. I will be hosting Talkin' Real with Brian Dunseth coming up on Thursday, and then I'll be on television with Adam Mikulich on Sunday night, and then we will release episode 2 of my new podcast, Reality Check with Spence Checketts, next week. And my guest will be Pablo Mastroianni. So a lot going on. Busy time. Good to have you along for the ride with Chris Camerani, Gordon Monson, Dave Fox, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners, and that guy, Porter Larson, on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yo.
Donovan Mitchell, back in the building last night, had some very kind things to say about Salt Lake, kind things to say about the Utah Jazz. Every time I watch him play, man, I'm like, what could have been?
Yeah.
Just every time he's here, what could have been?
No, good player. Obviously, really fun to watch on the offensive end of the floor. Cleveland is looking better than I thought they would with the backcourt of him and a 30-something-year-old James Harden. I have many questions about what they look like in the postseason once teams are able to isolate one of them defensively and force them to play pick-and-roll defense. That is a question still very much TBD. But, hey, a regular season game in March against his former team, a lot of fun. And seeing Sam Merrill continue his hot streak, hoping he joins the show here in the next week or so. So, a lot of fun last night when you take everything into account and where the Jazz are at, an entertaining little basketball game. And a lot to talk about around the NBA as well. So, Spence, we're almost to postseason basketball, and in this league at this moment, we need some postseason basketball. We need some meaningful hoops, and we're almost there.
Yeah, we are. We sure are. We're almost there. It is a different level. It's just like the NCAA tournament, different level in college, NBA playoffs, different level in the NBA. All right. First guest today will be the incomparable Chris Camerani, probably wearing sunglasses inside, inspiring the Larry David line that I've used before. But before CK stops by, courtesy of our friends at IFA Country Stores, time now for your opening tip. All right, the madness is upon us. The ESPN 700, 92.1 FM $1 Million Bracket Challenge is live. The leaderboard is brought to you by Big Willie's, Game Day Men's Health, Intermountain Bobcat, Budweiser, the Intermountain Sportsman's Expo, Burger Fusion, and our friends at the Utah RV Super Show. Doug Gottlieb is trending, not really, but kind of, here in the state. Doug Gottlieb, radio host. I think he's a college basketball coach. He's doing both, which I think is weird. He held on to his radio gig, right? Yeah. And he took the college gig. Is that right?
Yes. Hey, why not? We could do it.
Well,
we could do it poorly.
Well, I don't know how that would work with 4 hours in the afternoon. We'd have to practice in the mornings.
Perfect.
I'm doing 2 other jobs outside of this right now.
Well, you can't. We got to get rid of the TV thing. We'll talk to Dave about that later.
Okay. Well, I don't know which. I don't want to. Anyway, Doug Gottlieb somehow held on to his radio show, and he's coaching in college. He went on Colin Cowherd's podcast yesterday, and he said, quote, "There's never been a person that has ever been tampered with more than A.J. DeBonsa." He goes on to talk about how A.J. played for the Utah Prep School here. I don't know much about that school, other than some people don't believe it's a school at all. Do you have any reference for this prep academy where A.J. played?
No, other than the fact that it is a new thing. It is one of those charter programs that is, I would say, the focus is on the hoops. It is on the sports. It's an IMG-ish Utah version, right? It's not Wasatch Academy. Wasatch Academy down in Mount Pleasant is a really good educational institution that also brings in a bunch of folks from Canada, from overseas to come and play basketball.
All right.
So I don't know much about it other than, it is a way to get really good athletes into your vicinity. And, hey, I don't know the connections either. I know there's allegations, if you will, that Ryan Smith has involvement. I don't think any of that is founded. So We'll effort some more info there.
So Doug Gottlieb on video looking like he either is extremely hungover or just finished a round of golf is basically accusing Ryan Smith of colluding with A.J. DiBonsa funding the Utah Prep Academy and funding BYU basketball. These are Doug Gottlieb's words. And he says it doesn't matter who else is available. Jesus Christ could be getting ready to walk on water, turn water into wine, and they would still pick A.J. DiBonsa as the number one pick. A couple things here. Yeah, of course they would, because he's probably the best prospect. But, Doug, let me remind you, pal, because I know you're listening. What's up, Doug? It is a lottery. And how deep are you willing to go with this conspiracy that Ryan Smith is funding this high school where young men play high school basketball, and Ryan Smith is funding BYU basketball where A.J. DiBonsa landed? Like, are you implying that this goes as deep as the NBA league office, where they're just going to get the number one overall pick in order to take this kid, and you're accusing Ryan Smith of basically paying his way throughout the course of high school and college to get to the Utah Jazz? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. There's way too much of that goes on because so many people decide to listen to comics with a podcast for their political advice or their medical advice, which leads to misinformation, which leads to certain people being elected, blah, 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 blah. Okay? I'm not saying there's no such thing as conspiracy theories that are real. I'm saying I'm busy. I don't have time. Okay? Like, if the aliens are rolling in, just let me know. I don't have time to track it. Okay? I'm not looking up in the sky. If this AI thing is about to come take us all, just let me know like the day before. I'll get my affairs in order. I don't have time to waste energy worrying about all these things that so many people see. Get a hobby. Get off the intrawebs. Get off YouTube. Stop listening to these charlatans that have podcasts and just live your life. Okay? So let me start there. Not a conspiracy theory guy. It's not my jam. But what Doug seems to be missing here is that there's no guarantee that the Utah Jazz or anybody else are going to be able to get the number one overall pick. This is a lottery, okay? As I reminded Jazz fans last year when they were up in arms that the Jazz didn't get the number one overall pick, and suddenly it's the NBA hates us, the NBA's anti-Mormon, we are in Utah, it's a small market, it's fixed because Dallas traded Luka, so now they get Cooper Flag. Whatever rabbit hole you went down with that, whatever line of reasoning you decide to believe in, I can just tell you that the NBA lottery is not rigged at all, not even kind of. It is a lottery, okay? So if you go buy a lottery ticket and you lose, do you believe the state is colluding against you because you did not win the lottery? Tough way to live. Whereas your buddy at work maybe won a couple of big pots. You're like, wait a second, why does Idaho like Frank from sales, but they don't like me? It's the same reasoning. Do you think the NBA intentionally colluded to build a powerhouse in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma? Do you think the NBA colluded to build a dynasty in San Antonio, Texas? Do you think the NBA loves that potentially the best international player outside of Jokic is playing in Milwaukee? And speaking of Jokic, do you think the NBA is hell-bent on making sure the eyes of the world are on Denver, Colorado? It's so easy to poke holes in these dopey, stupid things that people say about this stuff. And Doug Gottlieb, quite frankly, should know better. And yes, if the Jazz get the number one overall pick, they are going to take A.J. DiBonsa. It has nothing to do with Ryan Smith donating to BYU where he went. It has nothing to do with Ryan Smith potentially providing some funds for a high school. That's actually a charitable, nice thing to do. The Utah Jazz will take A.J. DiBonsa with the number one overall pick if they get it because he is the best player on the board. We do this thing now, and this thing is happening right now in college basketball, where the interaction between Danny Hurley and the official at the end of the game that we all saw on video, and both of them have said nothing happened. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. Don't tell me I'm not hearing what I'm hearing. To me, this is the biggest issue, not just in sports, but across the landscape of our country, where your thoughts are being co-opted by bad actors that want to profit off your loyalty instead of trusting your instinct in your gut and saying, yes, I did see what I saw. It was not a peaceful protest. I could keep going. We're going to stop right there for today. And by the way, the official, Roger Ayers, is not going to be allowed to officiate in the Final Four because clearly he and Dan Hurley have some sort of relationship because they're both like, yeah, that was a completely normal interaction. You were on television gently headbutting an official. I don't care if you go get beers after the game. That's weird behavior. So now Doug Gottlieb is leading people into this rabbit hole that somehow Ryan Smith identified A.J. DeBonce at the age of 14 as a player he wanted to play for his pro team. So he funded a high school, funded a college, and is going to have him play here in Utah. I will be very curious about Colin Cowherd's follow-up interview with Doug Gottlieb if the Jazz don't get the number 1 overall pick. What then? Just weird stuff. All right, Chris Kamrani does not believe in conspiracy theories either, but he also does not want to talk about AI at all. We might make him uncomfortable here in a little bit. So we'll catch our first break of the show. CK joins us coming up next on ESPN 700. Is this a CK special? This is not a CK special.
No. We got Weezer tickets on the station this week.
All right.
I didn't receive any prompts. Sorry.
All right. Well, maybe CK will give you a prompt for the next segment. We do have Weezer tickets. Of all the bands that we've ever given away tickets for, this is one of the top bands that we have available. I like Weezer.
It's not. Who did we have?
Puddle of Mud.
Yeah.
Puddle of Mud, among others. My favorite giveaway was, remember when we had Limp Bizkit tickets?
Ooh. And we couldn't give them away.
No, the dude so we asked a question like, hey, text in to win Limp Bizkit tickets. The dude texts in, we're like, hey, congrats. He's like, I don't want them. He's like, you don't have to send them.
Chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water?
Stop
Dude,
it.
Come on, man.
You have so much useless knowledge in your head.
I'm the TRL generation, bro. Of course I do.
No, I'm with you, but you shouldn't know Limp Bizkit album names.
I should.
Did you go through a Limp Bizkit phase?
That was 14, 15, 16. Yeah.
Wait, you were like aggressively listening to
No, I wasn't
Limp Bizkit?
aggressively listening to it, but I was watching TRL, and Limp Bizkit was on TRL.
Did you do it all for the nookie? No comment? Hi, Chris. How are you? Good to see you, man.
Trying to get me in trouble already?
No. I mean, you're married.
I mean, Lawrence Borja is right there.
That's such a good pull. So we have and by the way, why? Is this for YouTube?
I don't know. We randomly have Jim Boylan back here now too. So
we have a Jim Boylan picture.
Sure, who got into the studio?
Show up.
You know, and Monson's in studio today.
I'm going to put that next to Gordon when he comes in.
Let's put it next to Gordon. We got to get a picture. The Gordon Monson Jim Boylan back and forth was hilarious. Did you know, by the way, that Boylan called Gordon and wanted to take him to breakfast to apologize?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So they went to breakfast and Jim forgot his wallet. Gordon had to pay for the meal.
That was my last couple years as a student, and Jim wasn't a great coach, but he was always nice to deal with. I mean, like, he got a little piss and vinegar in his veins. It was always fun to see him and Michael C. Lewis, the GOAT, who was on the beat for the Tribune at the time, go back and forth, because Mike didn't really suffer any fools.
No, he didn't.
Jim was trying to spin something a certain way. Mike would be like, nah, Jim, you missed 33 pointers.
Right. Yeah, Michael C. Where is Michael C. these days? Didn't his wife get a job and he left the industry or something?
Yeah. I believe his wife is making a whole boatload of money because she's smart.
She is.
And good at what she does. I think they're either in the Bay Area or on the East Coast somewhere.
So she is making a lot of money.
Correct.
Because he's just chilling, right?
Yeah, I think he's I still think he's doing stuff, but I'm pretty sure he's dadding it.
He was a talented guy.
Correct.
Very talented
He was
guy.
one of the guys that took me under his wing, so to speak, back in the day. Yeah.
Did some RSL stuff early on.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this was when the Trib was sending beat writers on the road for CONCACAF Champions
That's
League.
right.
MCL got to go to Costa Rica,
That's
dude.
That's right. Good memory. But anyway, I came in the studio yesterday, got back from the trip, had a lovely time, and I look over to my right. I'm like, this is new, and this is old, and it is Lawrence Borja. You're right. That's exactly who it is.
Who's the LSU player right there?
No idea.
Come on.
You don't know. There's no way you know.
Is it Derek Anderson?
No. It's a nondescript college basketball player. How's your bracket, by the way?
Oh, it's busted.
Yeah.
It's not. I got 3 out of the 4 Final Fours, but
who?
Of course, Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, but Duke.
You called Illinois.
Big boy basketball.
And you had Duke?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you watch that game?
I did.
I know you're not a huge hoops guy, but I know that when it comes to grinding tape, you can dig into the schematics. Yeah, ball went in the hoop.
I immediately, the sports writer in me immediately went to feeling awful for Caden Boozer. But then I was reminded that this is the second year in a row that Duke has had a similar type of massive brain fart.
Sure is.
With basically an entirely different roster. Seems like a coaching issue at this point.
The look on John Shire's face
all time
when that shot went through, because the tough thing, and like you, I feel bad for Caden because he actually was really good. Caden and Cameron were the only players for Duke who actually played well. He had a great game up until then, but everyone's going to remember that turnover as the thing that he did that game. if you watch the replay, Shire's yelling at him to throw the pass. Now, throw it higher than you did.
Or just hold on to it and make them foul you.
Now, the only issue there is that UConn had the possession arrow. If somehow, which by the way is the dumbest rule, get rid of it.
It is.
If Caden holds the ball and Duke ties him up somehow, UConn ties him up somehow, some way, they get the ball at half court with about 5-6 seconds left.
Yeah.
That would have been better than what he did. But there are 2 Duke players on the other end of the floor with 0 UConn players.
Yep.
So you got to credit UConn for closing that gap and getting big. But that's the one thing you can't do. You either hold on to it or just lob it up and the game is over. I honestly don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that.
The most stunning thing to me, and this is coming from somebody who knows hoop.
Oh, I know. Ball knower. Knower of ball.
I can't believe that the Caravan kid passed the shot up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that he had guys in his face and the Mullins kid was wide open, but like Caravan's he won 2 national titles. Like he is the elder statesman of that group.
He is.
Made the right play.
He is. And I was lucky because the game coincided with my flight.
So you got to watch it in first class?
I was not in first class. What is this narrative? What is this narrative?
Prove it.
What is this narrative that's being created?
Pull up your boarding pass.
It was Delta Comfort.
It
was not first class.
Okay.
There's a big difference.
There is a huge difference. You're right.
Admitted Delta snob.
No, I am too.
Yeah. But the nice thing was there were like 20 TVs on the game, right? So you can kind of see who was watching it. That shot goes in, and you could hear the visceral reaction of people on the flight looking around like, did anyone else see this?
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool moment. Leitner shot in 92 against Kentucky. How old were you in 1992?
I was 6.
Okay, so you weren't smashing tape then.
No, we actually, in the wake of that shot, our staff put together a list of everyone's most iconic shots in March Madness history.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had 2 that I had to choose from 2. I went easy. I guess you would call it chalk. I went the Chris Jenkins shot, Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been 5 buzzer beaters in the history of the men's tournament to win a national title. I know Keith Smart's from like 87, the jumper, but I mean Chris Jenkins is dialing up from 30. The other one that I think, and maybe this is partial as a fellow half Persian, but my guy Ali Farouk Manesh shooting the 3 against Kansas when he had no business taking the shot. Talk about hold on to the ball and kill clock.
Yeah.
My guy was just like saying, you know what, screw it. Let's just let it fly. Head coach at Colorado State right now.
That's right. And the guy that coached him during that tourney run is now living in Logan.
Who would have thought?
He's the new Utah State coach.
Swinging doors. Sliding doors.
Yeah, indeed. For the 4th time in 5 years, Utah State basketball has a new head coach. It feels like this guy might – because 20 years, I think 9 tournaments, Northern Iowa, a Sweet 16.
Always good in there.
Always good.
Generally the preseason favorite in there. I don't even know what conference they're in. Forgive me.
I think MVC, Missouri Valley Conference, I think. Yeah. But almost every year, I've always believed he was going to get like a big-time job. It feels like, and you never say never because he's 55 years old. If he does the Utah State thing where he takes him to the tournament and maybe a Big Ten team comes calling and then maybe he's gone. But I wonder if he's looking at this, and I'm quite sure that Utah State, throughout their search, was like, hey, we'd love you to stick around, okay? The cheese is nice here. We've got a good Indian restaurant and a gas station. You remember what that was called? My old producer, Brady, was an Aggie, and he claimed there's great Indian food in Logan, but it's in a gas station.
I forget what it's called, but I know what you're putting down.
I'll think of it. I think that's what it is. I think it's grill. Tandoori grill, yeah. Anyway. Sell the Logan experience. Sell the Cache Valley experience. Will you please live here for longer than 2 years?
Well, everything is going to be based on a year-to-year basis.
Yep.
What happens if Utah State wins 30 games again next year and USC comes open?
Yeah.
UCLA comes open.
That's the problem.
I'm not saying that UCLA is going to go for a guy like Ben Jacobson after one good year at Utah State, but I'm just saying that, unfortunately, Utah State finds itself in that position. What's interesting about this move is they kind of went in a different direction than they have been, going for the young, up-and-coming coach at a perceived smaller conference at a smaller school, where this guy, his proof of concept clearly has worked for 20 years at a school that has had as much, success at the conference level. And I feel like I don't know how many tournaments they've been to, but I feel like they're always in the mix.
Utah State
and Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
Every single spring for they're going to be in the tournament. Probably.
Yeah. No, he took them to 9 tourneys, if I read correctly.
Yeah, I mean that's
one coach of the year at that conference 5 times.
That'll play, but I thought I saw something on the Hellscape about Mark Madsen being bandied about for the Utah State job.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I understand Mark's ties to the state, but he's also coaching at Cal.
Yeah.
He grew up in Walnut Creek where my dad lives. That's kind of home. It would have been a very fascinating perceived step back. But Cal athletics isn't exactly known to be in a great place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Interested to see what Jacobson does.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. I didn't dig into who it was. If it was some blogger from Utah State that made I
think it was a Cal.
Some Cal blogger or something.
And on Blogger.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I saw the same thing. It didn't really make sense. Cal's always been interesting to me because it feels like they should be good at everything.
Bay Area is hard because you're going up against all 3 major pro sports.
Yeah.
And hard school to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Academics are tough.
Mm-hmm.
School that generally has other stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
Political, everyone's kind of involved in stuff.
Yep.
But, Stanford and Cal, you would think, and they're always going to be good at the Olympic sports, don't get me wrong, but fascinated to see what Tosh Lupoy does. He's a Bay Area guy, grew up in that backyard, played there, knows Aaron Rodgers, all those guys. Glad we're talking about Cal on ESPN 700, home of the Utes.
Well, Mark Madsen's name was brought up.
Mark Madsen's a fun dude to talk to. I would recommend trying to get him on the show one time.
Oh,
Because when he was at UVU, he would be like, dude, just come watch practice.
Yeah.
Just come in,
Yeah.
whatever. You can come to the locker room.
No, when he was at UVU, he would ask to come on and talk about his camps every year.
Yeah.
I probably had him on 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Sweetest guy, too.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
And is good at what he does. He orchestrated that team that beat that BYU team a couple years ago, which was unfathomable for UVU to beat BYU. And I know Cal didn't make the tournament, but they were in the mix in the ACC up until the last couple weeks of the regular season. And, I don't know if there was any, smoke behind that fire. I would imagine that the cross-country travel for conference games would eventually get a little tiring.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm interested to see if he can turn it around there.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to what Utah State, because we had Spencer Nelson on a couple of times over the past few weeks to talk college basketball, and the Sports Business Journal, prior to the NCAA tournament, did a piece on the largest donors for each school in the tournament. And for Utah State, they featured Gail Miller.
Did they?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and look, the Millers have famously given to Utah, BYU, Salt Lake Community College.
Yeah.
They're very committed to helping our educational facilities here and the universities that exist in our state. I wonder exactly what kind of economic traction Utah State can find, because ultimately they'll never be able to. And look, Jared Calhoun went back to his alma mater. You're not going to be able to match that. But can you get to a space where you make a guy like Ben Jacobson a competitive enough offer that he'll at least consider living in Logan for 5 to 6 years? They're going to use the $3.4 million that they got from Cincinnati on players.
Which is smart.
That's been announced. We're using all of that on NIL, so maybe they get Spencer Nelson highlighted 4 players that he would like to see back. So maybe they can retain some talent. Maybe Jacobson brings some players from Northern Iowa. But if they have boosters like Gale, and if they have, there was a gift that was announced a couple of days ago, a few $1 million with a family who lives up in Logan. Maybe their economic situation can improve a little bit to the point where they can keep up with, I'll call it the lesser tier P4 schools.
Well, do you know who's a famous Cache County child who makes a lot of money?
The man who owns this radio station?
Correct.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Deloitte.
They should maybe make a call to Deloitte.
Yeah, maybe Deloitte's writing some checks. He's got the scratch. So we'll see. So Utah State has their head coach. Now we move over to the Final Four. Big 12, best conference in America. I don't know.
No, it's the Big 10, man.
Big 10 or maybe even the SEC, yeah.
The Big 10 is owning the revenue-generating world in the last few years.
Yeah.
Football, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana coming on in football. Nobody saw that coming. And then you're talking about basketball, like, I mean, you had two Big Ten teams with Illinois and Iowa. Michigan seemed like they were going to make it no matter what. There's a world in which you see Michigan and Illinois in the championship game.
And I think they're both favored to win the game.
Yeah.
I wonder what it's like for Witt to watch Michigan basketball. Like, they're probably going to, if I picked Arizona to win it, Michigan's playing the best ball right now. If I had to guess today, I'd say I think Michigan wins it. But that's the standard at that place, whether it's basketball or football. Like, certainly with their endowment, their $20 billion endowment, where Michigan told the Big Ten to kick rocks when they said we got a private equity deal in place. Like, we don't need it, we don't want it, and so is Michigan and SC. But football or basketball, with the resources they have, this is the level. This is the expectation.
Well, and the fact that I think Michigan's hockey team is always in the mix. The women made, I think, an Elite Eight run.
Money talks, Chris.
You got to be in the mix. And hey, this is what we've been talking about for a long time. It will be interesting to see what Kyle can do with the resources that is necessary to compete at the highest level and where the expectations are sky high.
Okay, hold that thought.
Holding it.
Because there's something that I want to get to in our next segment. But before we do that, we'll stick with a little basketball. And speaking of college basketball coaches, so Doug Gottlieb, he's the coach of Green Bay, and he kept his radio show, making me ponder my life choices.
Where do you want to coach?
Well, I can't say anything about, I don't want Alex's job because Alex is my guy.
What about Slick?
You know what? I don't want to take anyone's job, but if that comes open.
Slick produced a lot of talented guys that went on to the D1 level in recent years.
Anyway, I'm not going to start coaching basketball. I've got 4 jobs right now.
College of Eastern Utah.
Okay. That would be a little commute, but, we'll do maybe a remote broadcast from time to time. Anyway.
Remote talking Real.
Love it. Kept his radio show. Took the Green Bay job, went a cool 4-28 last year, 18-15 this year, so a little bit of an upward trajectory. Anyway, he went on Colin Cowherd's podcast, and maybe we'll just play the sound at some point, and I'll summarize. He basically said, no one's ever been tampered with more than A.J. DeMatza. He went to Utah Prep or whatever, and he's like, Ryan Smith funds Utah Prep. Then he said he went to BYU. Ryan Smith funds BYU.
The BYU thing, yes. The Utah Prep thing, we'll have to fact check. Kevin Reynolds did a really good job outlining the Utah Prep reality. Because there was a time, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to make sure we have our facts right, that Utah Prep was kind of on shaky ground financially. It passed hands a few times because certain owners were unable to keep it open. But the point stands that AJ has ties to the state of Utah that go well beyond just BYU.
Yes, indeed. And so he went on to kind of up his tampering allegations against Ryan Smith, saying his belief is Ryan Smith targeted AJ Young, helped get him to Utah Prep, funded the basketball program, helped get him to BYU, was part of, and Ryan has talked about this. Yes, he donates to his school. That's his right. A lot of people do it, but it's not just him. There are a lot of bros. Cookie Bro, while we're at it, let's just give our guy Cookie Bro a shout out. But anyway, Gottlieb, his assertion is Ryan identified A.J. Young, got him to high school, got him to college, and now somehow, some way, this is a master plan to get him to the Jazz.
Don't the Jazz need to get the #1 overall pick to get
it
AJ
seems
DeMatza?
Pretty simplistic, right? It seems,
and as we saw last year, it's a lot easier said than done.
Right.
I would have told you that the Jazz were going to take A.J. DeMatza regardless of all of Doug Gottlieb's tinfoil hat theories.
Mm-hmm.
Fit. We love a good fit with scheme.
Love a good fit and scheme.
Now, granted, Darren Peterson's fascinating freshman year didn't do him any favors in terms of cementing that spot as the likely #1 overall pick. But if we were going to, talk in realities, even today, the Jazz have a 10% chance of getting the #1 overall pick. It's pretty meek. That's not a high amount. Like everyone last year when they were like, we're gonna get it, it was like, no, they still had a 75% chance of not getting it.
Right. I mean, that was the point of flattening the odds to try to avoid tanking. Clearly didn't work. But even if you have the worst record in the league like the Jazz did last year, you're still more likely to be around 3, 4, 5 than you are 1 or 2. That's just how it goes. Here's the transcript, okay? He says, quote, first thing everybody should know is that if the Utah Jazz have the number 1 pick, they're taking A.J. DeMonta. Of course they are, Doug. He's the best player. How do I know? He went to Utah Prep, which is funded by Ryan Smith. He went to BYU, which is funded by Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith owns the Utah Jazz. There's never been a person that has ever been tampered with more than A.J. DeMonta to end up with Utah Jazz. I don't know how he's getting there. Then he finally says, everybody knows about the alleged tampering. Jesus Christ could be getting ready to walk on water and turn water into wine. They're still drafting A.J. DeMonta. And that's how he finished. I think if JC's available, you got to look at him, though.
I mean, an elite team player.
Elite team player. Good leader.
Always looking to assist.
Willing to sacrifice.
Listen.
It's silly, though.
It's silly. And again, if the lottery odds weren't flattened, then maybe we're having a little bit of a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as of right now, the Jazz have a 90% chance of not getting the number 1 overall pick. And who knows, if they do get it, they'll take him because, as you said, they probably should.
Yeah.
And right now, I think most front offices would be between A.J. DeMonta and Darren Peterson, right? Like I know Boozer's there, but I think there is a little bit of a gap when you're talking about which front offices would fall in love with a certain prospect if they do get the number 1 overall pick. I feel like for most it would currently be DeMonta Peterson, right?
I think so. That's where I think most people have landed. I've got a mock-up. NBA's mock still has Darren 1, AJ 2. But I want to underscore something you just talked about, and I'm going to keep hitting this because the most likely spot. So last year, the Jazz had a 14% chance of landing the number 1 overall pick. They had a 48% chance of landing the number 5 overall pick, which is where they landed, okay? I just get so tired of this whole, like, the lottery is rigged, and they hate us because we're in Utah, and they don't want Salt Lake to have a great player. Yeah, the NBA was pining to build a dynasty in Oklahoma City.
Or San Antonio.
They love that Giannis is in Milwaukee. They love that Jokic is in Denver. Like, give me a break with this stuff. So the Jazz right now, okay, and I don't think they're going to be able to move up because Sacramento is in front of them, Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington. The most likely spot for the Jazz to draft as of today is 7.
Wow.
26% chance. 19% chance to draft 6. Those are the most likely 2 spots. 10% 1, 10% 2, 10% 3, 10% 4, 2% 5, 19% 6, 26% 7, 8% 8, and a 0.6% chance to land 9. We all know what happens if they land 9.
It goes to OKC.
That pick goes to OKC. But I just want to underscore, like, let's be realistic about the chances here. Now, last year, Dallas had a 2% chance to move up to 1, and they did.
Yep.
Those things happen.
Right.
It doesn't mean that Adam Silver said, okay, you traded Lucas, so we're going to give you Cooper Flagg. Like, the inability to see things as they are continues to be absolutely baffling to me. Everything.
Are there folks here who are...
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Well, they would probably point to the Spurs, and we can go full circle and say both of the folks in the studio on the drive right now, and I'm sure the man producing the show, thought that the Jazz should have done this 2 years ago.
Yep.
Because no offense to AJ, no offense to Cooper Flagg, no offense to Ace Bailey or Darren Peterson, the guy you should have won 1 game out of 82 for was Victor Wembanyama.
He's going to own the league.
Yep.
He's getting close already.
Right.
Shea's awesome, but when this thing is fully baked,
yeah,
I don't know what it's going to look like.
He's a monster.
He is. All right. You held the thought, right?
I think so.
Okay. I want to bring you into a conversation we were having about the layer of pressure that's added to Morgan's job because he took over for Kyle.
Sure.
And we've been talking about that for the past couple of days. Chris Camerani is live in studio for another segment coming up next, but I want to tell you about a client that we now have on the show that I'm thrilled about because I work with them and have worked with them for about 2 years. So we're about to turn our calendars to April, which means you've had 3 months now to follow up on a New Year's resolution that sounds like, hey, I want to get back into shape, or I want to lose weight, or I'm in shape, I just want to get in even better shape. Well, how is your progress so far? I did the same thing. A couple years ago, I just made a goal. I said, as an adult, I'm going to go at this really hard. I'm going to try to get in the best shape I've ever been in. And so I did the thing, started eating healthy, started exercising, lifting, yoga, stretching, all the things. And after a few months, I was frustrated because I was working really hard and I wasn't seeing the results that I saw when I was younger, because breaking news, I'm not that young anymore. So if you're in that boat, let me tell you what to do, because a friend of mine recommended Game Day Men's Health, okay? Currently, they're giving you the very same deal they give me, which makes this really affordable. So step number one is a free consultation. It's a little bit of blood work, okay? You go in there for about 15 minutes. They take your blood, then they go over all of your levels with you. And these are professionals trained to do this, okay? And then they'll recommend some of the things they have that might help your progress to either lose weight, get back into shape. If you're needing to lose a lot of weight, they have the semaglutide, tirzepatide, all the tides, all the weight loss stuff. They've got it there. For me, they recommended testosterone and peptides, okay? So those are the two things I've been using. And once I started using their products, in the next couple of months, I made 10 times the progress I had prior to. So free consultation, but here's the kicker. If you tell them, you heard me talking about it on the show, they're giving you 50% off your membership for the entire year. Makes it really affordable, really easy. I go in every 2 or 3 months for blood work, then we adjust my levels and we do the thing. It works. I'm telling you, this makes it affordable. It's our good friends at Game Day Men's Health. All right, more with CK coming up next on ESPN 700. Yeah, Weezer had a moment. They were in town. They were at Kilby last year.
Yeah, they were part of the Kilby.
That's right.
The Kilby slate that I am too old to attend.
Well, if I can go, you can go.
We're in different phases of life, my friend. Listen,
Kids.
the Blue Album, easily top 10 album in the 90s. Like, it's not even close, maybe even top 5.
Yeah, I mean, Dave has the top 4 and the top 9, but if there's one to add to Dave's albums, it probably would be the Blue Album by Weezer. No, I went through a big Weezer phase.
It is one of the rare albums that cover to cover can turn it on.
Yeah. And they still put on a good show. Yeah, I went to Kilby mostly for Weezer, and then it's like, oh, cool, Japanese Breakfast is here, or whatever.
Yeah, you knew all those bands.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. We did this, okay? I think Falk was able to name like 15.
Yeah, I think I knew like 3.
Bench landed at like 12. I think I knew 8.
Yeah.
But Weezer's the one that got me there.
I forgot what were some of the other. I feel like the Yeah.
Yeah, they're always there.
Yes, or like Flaming Lips are always
Flaming
there.
Lips.
Yeah.
Beach House. Shout out John Paul.
Beach House.
Big Beach House fan.
I haven't seen the lineup for this year, but it's good.
Well, we'll see how maybe next time you're in, we'll see how many we can name.
Let's do it.
All right. You haven't seen the Manosphere documentary on Netflix yet?
No, I heard big things.
Porter, as a big fan of the Manosphere, have you watched it yet?
I haven't.
Dude, I watched it last night.
Yeah.
It rules.
So give us the elevator review.
Well, I think the direct. In fact, let me look it up real quick. Say something intelligent into the microphone.
Well, I guess I would say live at Radio City Music Hall, I'd put above Central Park, but that's just my hot take.
Okay, no, but you're not. I mean, those are two works of art. Louis Theroux is his name.
Okay.
He's a well-known documentarian, apparently.
Not to be confused with Henry David Thoreau.
No, he's no longer with us. Shout out him, though. Great writer.
Great writer. And also the feature of Ken Burns' latest documentary.
That was on PBS last night.
My man.
Yeah. I didn't. I recorded it. I haven't seen it yet.
You went with the other Thoreau.
I did. I elected to go with Louis Theroux. Born in Singapore. He lives in the UK. And he decided to just do this documentary on these Manosphere bros.
Okay.
He didn't get like the Andrew Tate's. Andrew Tate is intertwined in all of it. He didn't get access to him.
I think Andrew Tate's in jail or close to.
I don't know. Porter, will you effort that information?
He's not.
He should be.
Okay.
No, I watched his pod this morning.
Okay.
Would you stop? Porter also revealed that he's smashing.
On a heater.
No, he's smashing Joe Rogan pods lately.
Well, listen, Joe is the pendulum swings, my friend. The pendulum is known to swing. Just saying. Go ahead.
How can the pendulum swing with
pendulum
that?
Swings, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Toothpaste is out of the tube.
We do have the Kilby lineup, by the way.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll get there in a minute. But anyway, he interviews. He goes and does these features. I think 4 different Manosphere bros. So essentially, influencers that are selling products to young men.
Testosterone.
No, but mostly like ebooks about how to sell things online. He didn't get our guy the Bull. The Bull's unavailable, is what I understand. And I had never heard any of these Manosphere bros. I think he went to Spain. He went to Miami. Apparently, Miami is the epicenter of the epicenter of Manosphere bros. The best part is these idiots thought he was coming to do a Netflix film about them to make him look cool.
Naturally.
And he is just low key cracking on them the entire time.
Face to face.
Face to face.
Like interview style.
Yes.
Cool.
And it's worth the watch because these charlatans need to be outed for what they are.
Is it just a one off?
About an hour and a half.
Okay.
Documentary.
I'm afraid if I go down that realm, I'll just feel real sad. And things aren't looking great in the world right now, so maybe need to pick me up a little bit.
So it's these influencers that and they're revealed, no kidding, to be frauds. There was one guy who apparently has done pretty well with his grift. He is a small town Louisiana guy that moved to Miami, bought a home for his wife and kids.
How tan?
Extremely tan. Tight suits, tight suits. Lifts profusely. they're all in these relationships that they call one-sided monogamy, which means the wife is not allowed to cheat on them, but they're allowed to cheat on their wife.
Get out of here,
no, hold on. He gets access to the women. That's the saddest part, because essentially they're not down with the whole thing.
Well, who would have thought?
Right? Of course. But, their life is with this person. They don't have to work. They get all this money.
You're bumming out on a Monday, bro. We gotta get you some.
Definitely
some
Tuesday.
uppers.
Definitely Tuesday. I am just telling you, it's a fascinating watch. These are the worst dudes in the
But
world,
do you
man.
think people watch this and the light bulb goes off, or mostly people like you who are like, oh, they're being exposed for who they are? Because we need the light bulb to go off for these things, man. It's like you can think how you think what you want when it comes to social media, but if you're posting is not going to change the world. Let's just say that.
You're not wrong. He did the documentary on that Jimmy Savile guy, the British entertainer that was revealed to be a total creep.
Wow.
But anyway,
Thought the world is
I've got his not his IMDb page, but the list of he did one on Scientology back in the day. This is kind of his deal. And look,
so like a Sacha Baron Cohen for like minor cults.
a little bit like
Okay.
that. So, look, I'm not saying that any of these young men that believe Andrew Tate has their best interest in mind watch a documentary and suddenly we're like, oh, this guy is only looking to profit off me. He is the worst human in the world. I'm saying for someone like me that already hates this group of people, it was a French kiss.
Sure. Yeah. You were watching it and you thought somewhere some poor bloke is going to believe that if he spends $1,000 on creatine, his life is going to change.
Right. Yeah, they charge him $49.95 a month for access to their
No way.
their vlog, where they walk him through all of these investments and finances. And the dude that lives in Spain was revealed to not be making any money at all. He just faked screenshots of, hey, I made 10,000 pounds. No, you didn't. But send me $49.95 a month and I'll give you access to my portfolio. And his portfolio is like nothing. Liars, dude.
Yeah.
And here's why it pisses me off. I have a son. I have a young, well, he's about to turn 25.
I have a young son.
You do. Shout out Leo. And look, all of us in the studio, in the producer's room, we are men. Okay? So we all have experience of what it's like to grow up and go through awkward phases and wonder, how do I do this exactly?
Where do I belong?
Right. To feast on that vulnerability for your own profit, to me, is beyond
degenerate
evil,
behavior.
dude. It's
Sure.
horrible.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's why these AlphaCon chodes that held their thing downtown,
My guy.
and obviously the dude's in jail. No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I would point to just the rise and advent of social media as the primary fault. There's a reason why the Zuck got
Shout out Zuck on a Tuesday.
Zuck got told by the Supreme Court last week, yeah, you're on the hook for basically making people addicted to this thing.
100%. 100%. And it underscores just this, I don't know. I hate to use the term toxic masculinity because I think that's been overused at this point. But these are bad people that mistreat women, and they're all like, no. I love women. I'm like, not like that, dude. We know exactly what you're saying. You don't love them as people. You love them as objects because you're treating your girlfriend like she's less than nothing. This one guy's like, you can go in my bedroom after my girl gets home so she can clean it. And dude, he gets access to her. And it's heartbreaking. She's clearly miserable in this entire thing. These are horrible, horrible humans.
I think you need to put on your capital J journalism hat and take this show on the road downtown when AlphaCon returns.
Got a slight feeling that's not returning. Their fearless leader is occupied at this point.
Never anticipate the ability for the cream to rise to the crop.
Okay, all right. I feel like you want to move on.
I do.
I can tell.
Well, it's a bummer, man.
Do you want to talk AI?
Allen Iverson?
No, the technology that Porter believes is coming for us all. Have you seen the video of our fearless First Lady, esteemed documentarian, walking out of the tunnel with the robot bud?
I have not.
You got to send it to him.
You guys are messing me up.
No,
on
it's
Tuesday,
it's Porter's fault, man.
I'll blame Porter.
Yeah, Porter sent this to me because I was discussing the dynamic. We did this thing. I have a buddy who's a dermatologist. I don't know much about AI or ChatGPT. Let me preface, so nothing I say, go do your own research. Shout out. And he believes that this technology is high speed ahead to taking over basically the medical space. Where in however amount of years, if you need open heart surgery, it's a robot. It's not a person.
Well, right now, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of surgery is done by robots, by a person.
Well,
but,
as long
you're
as
saying now that like this is going to be full
yes.
Will Smith iRobot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and Skynet at some point will be active. If robots are operating on us,
probably.
Then what happens when they start to do the thing where it's like, okay, now we have all the power?
When they start to think that all of the lottery odds are against the Utah Jazz.
Look at what you did.
Right?
But one more thing, okay, because here's what we did. He said, look, I'm a dermatologist. Ask me a question about something involving skin. Made something up. I'm like, hey, I've got a rash here, blah, 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 blah. What do you do? And he told me, here's the treatment, okay? And then he said, go type that into Chat GPT. Told me the very same thing to do.
Well, sure.
Like, I don't need you now, bro. You ruined it. I'm just going to go to Chat for my skin ailments.
Like I said, dude, I'm still part of the generation, Spence, that cannot buy an airplane ticket on his phone. I have to open up the laptop to do that.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
Even with the Delta app?
Even with the
Chris.
Come on, man. Delta app, we got a ways to go. I am still all about get me on that laptop, get me logged in, Sky Miles, get me searching. I'm not even doing big purchases on my phone.
Wait, do you?
This is a thing.
Do you use a hard copy of your plane ticket?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I should though.
Because that would be next level. Anyway, non sequitur here. Let's move over to the question I was alluding to.
Holding on to it.
Good work. So we were talking about the inevitability, and you and I discussed this last week. This is going to happen. Utah football next year, come fall. Going to be a couple of games, hopefully not more than a couple, that probably don't go Utah's way. And the question inevitably will be, would Witt have won that game, right? And so we move into the space because we were talking about which offensive coach has the most difficult task ahead of them to replace the person that left. Oh. Jordan, right?
Easy.
Right? And so it's not just Morgan takes over for Witt, it's Jordan takes over for Jim. All of these coaches.
Evan takes over for Jason.
For Jason, that also came up. And then we were talking about when Ty Corbin took over for Jerry. Didn't go well, to say the least. It just adds an extra layer, and the extra layer has been expedited because now the public knows Kyle didn't want to leave.
My question to you would be, is there still a portion of the fan base that is Team Kyle? Because I don't know if there is.
There has to be a portion. There has to be.
I think folks, and listen, I don't know. This is me just pontificating here. My guess is the majority of Utah fans believe that it's Morgan's time, as you've been told by state media, and things are only going to be rosy. I don't know how many folks are locally. I think you'll get it more nationally, to be honest with you. I think you're going to have, if Utah is 5-3 in November and Michigan is 7-1 or 8-0, then I think you'll have more national people wondering, like, hey, Utah had a pretty easy schedule this year in the Big 12. Is Utah in a different space if Kyle Whittingham hadn't left? Because if Kyle Whittingham hadn't left, Jason Beck probably wouldn't have left. Jim Harding wouldn't have left. Lewis Powell wouldn't have left, so on and so forth. I don't know how many people are going to be lobbing, I should say, more pressure onto Morgan because of Witt's exit. I think people are just having maybe unrealistic expectations for year one. That's how I would put it.
So, not to regurgitate an opinion that I have, but just to reiterate, I do think Morgan's ready for this, and I think he's ready for it now. I also think you should have let Kyle tell you when he's ready to go.
Yeah, both things can be true.
Right. That's where this is not a, I do think there will be a learning curve because there's for everybody that does something for the first time. As I'm learning doing TV, it's a different thing. You do something for the first time, it takes a minute to get used to. So I think it's natural to leave space for Morgan to learn because it's one thing to coach a bowl game. It's another thing to have a spring experience. It's an entirely different deal when you're coaching a team for the season for the first time. Okay. So I do think there's going to be a learning curve. On the other side, though, I have to imagine, even with all of the things that the public now knows with the records release, there has to be Utah football fans that remember the WAC and the Mountain West, and certainly there was some success there, and never believed that Utah football was going to be among the big boys in the country. Then that happens, and you're wondering if they're ever going to figure it out. Then they do, and then they go to Rose Bowls, and, Witt built that. There has to be Utah football fans out there that still believe he should be in the job.
Yeah, I know of a few, but, and again, maybe this is me reading too much into what I see online, but it seems to be a lot of folks believe that Morgan is the coach to get them over the hump. I agree with you. You can say at the same time that Morgan Scalley is ready to be a head coach and that Kyle had the right to say when he was ready to go. I think the hardest job is going to be what you said. Like, it's going to be, how does he react to a heartbreaking loss? How do you replace 5 studs on the offensive line? Devin Dampier, when he's healthy, is great, but he wasn't healthy all that often last year. Like, these are all little things that a head coach is going to have to figure out in real time with a new staff. And I just think, like, I know I don't want to be the bummer, but everyone should just temper expectations a little bit on year one. Like, 8-4, not a negative season in my mind. Like, even though the schedule is a little soft, like, they are replacing an insane amount of talent. And sure, the folks that are able to watch practice are tweeting about guys that came from San Jose State, got the wheels. You know who has wheels? Everybody in spring, because people are barely getting tackled.
Right.
Everything needs context here, and you don't know what it looks like yet. There are some folks that are coming back that have shown you that they can play at a high level, but not nearly enough, in my opinion, that have done it together cohesively at one time to prove that this team can contend for a Big 12 title yet. Yeah, in my opinion.
No, it's hard to argue with any of that. I'll go back to the original premise. I do think it would be a different level of, I don't know if it's pressure. There's pressure no matter what, but the pressure is going to be expedited as a result of Morgan taking over for a legend who didn't want to leave. If he was taking over for a legend who wanted to leave,
that's a different story.
It's an entirely different story.
Now you look at what Kyle asked for in the public records request from an NIL perspective, so you get a sense of what the ballpark was like. If he's asking for 20, you have conventional wisdom points to they probably weren't close to that last year. Not ideal.
Yeah.
Not in today's Power 4 reality. So how much money is Utah going to have at their disposal beyond the allocation from rev share? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this all the time. When is this PE deal going to kick in, and when is that going to benefit the athletic programs, especially Utah? Like, that to me is another fascinating byproduct of this whole thing. Is like, your guys, your Sharks, I forget what they're called, something venture capital, whatever.
VCs, bro.
VCs.
You can use the acronym.
They won't be very willing to wait.
Yeah.
For results.
No, they care about one thing.
The bottom line.
Yep.
So, yes, he's ready for it, but yeah, you can make an argument that he has a lot of pressure on him, but it's an interesting position to be in because he's a guy that's been here for so long. He knows every nook and cranny of the program. His dad played here. He played here. He coached here. His dream job is what he has now. And in a sense, maybe the hardest job he'll have is basically executing what he wants done. Because, like you said, he's doing it for the first time.
What's your dream job? What's the Chris Camerati dream job?
Come on, bro.
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's. Easy.
Trader Joe's.
Easy money, dude.
Easy money?
Easy money.
Wait, how much do they pay their employees?
I'm just saying, like, that's it. Like, that's, the phrasing, easy money, that's it. Like, if you were betting on Kalshi.
Yeah.
That's Chris Camerati's dream job.
So one day I'm gonna venture into Trader Joe's. Are you gonna be working me on the cash register?
No.
What are you gonna be doing?
Stocking.
You're just gonna be stocking the snacks at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, with my Hawaiian shirt on.
Would have been so nice to have Trader Joe's when we were in college. Lovely place for individual dinners. When you're single, individual dinners are key.
The only problem, and I'm surprised SNL hasn't done this yet, bless their hearts, but their desire to small talk We gotta nip it in the bud.
Oh, man.
Like, what are the plans? You know what the plans are.
Yeah.
The plans are this.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm leaving.
Yes. What have you been doing today? They do like to chat. That's got to be part of their culture.
It's got to be a company MO.
Yeah. And it's always like, I'm just going home to watch basketball. Oh, which game?
Yeah.
Who's your team?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just take the debit card. I'm going to go eat my
the Shanghai Sharks
enchiladas. Last thing, 2 months away from the World Cup.
Oof.
Belgium's good.
But they're not that good.
They're not that good. They undressed the U.S. 5-2.
Got Portugal tonight.
Portugal tonight.
5 p.m.
Ooh, good reminder. Not great, Bob. Not great, Bob.
I know you guys, you've talked to Dunny about this before, but again, I cannot get enough of how our most talented team in the history of this sport on the men's side cannot seem to play cohesively.
Yeah.
Granted, lots of key players have been hurt off and on for the last several years. I get it. But once upon a time, it would be insane to have a U.S. team be undressed 5-2. They weren't that good, but they wouldn't let it happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people are always going to point to the coach in soccer and be like, this guy should have done this. I get it, but sooner or later, if you have the same player pool making the same types of mistakes and getting the same types of results, writing's on the wall. You were giving me bleep before Qatar, and I said, don't be surprised. And it took a while to get qualified, didn't it?
It did. You also chose Colin Morikawa to win the golf tournament he actually won. So
you going to win the Masters?
Morikawa?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me.
I think so.
All right. Well, then I'm going
on and on Poly Market.
I'm going to Kalshi and throwing 50 on him. Yeah, man. Not great. All right, CK. Good stuff today. We'll let you get out of here. Say hi to Gordon. He's outside.
Is he outside?
Gordon Monson outside. Nice of him to show up. Get a picture of him next to the Boylan picture. Send it to Falk. All right, Chris Camerani stopping by today, courtesy of our good friends at IFA Country Stores. Any drive to the basket begins with a first step on the court. That's the ultimate power move. IFA Step 1 Crabgrass Preventer and Lawn Food is the first choice to give your yard the healthy, thick green look you admire. The neighbors will be green with envy. Shop IFA online at ifa.coop or stop by one of their neighborhood stores today. The incomparable Gordon Monson live in studio coming up next on ESPN 700. All right, we're going to catch up with my TV buddy Dave Fox about an hour from now or so. But live in studio, my old radio partner, my guy, my man, Salt Lake Tribune legend, Gordon Monson, on a Tuesday afternoon. Hello, Gordo. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Spence. And here's the thing about you. Since you said something nice about me, I'll say something nice about you.
Okay.
It's all transactional, right?
It is indeed, such as life.
I sound like Donald Trump.
Oh, calm down. All right.
Okay. I've probably said this to you before, but if I'd known you were going to be this successful, I would have been a lot nicer to you.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
You're everywhere now.
I'm working my way up, Gordon. Getting some fun opportunities and experiences. And I'll tell you what, I give you a lot of the credit for it. Not just kind of being my radio mentor, but for years, you're like, get on TV, go do TV, you know? So I've been doing hits on KUTV for years, and now there was an opportunity, so I'm doing more TV now, and it's different. It's an interesting ecosystem. It's different than radio.
It's a little quicker.
Yep.
And, but, I mean, some guys on TV are really good, and some guys have the look of TV, but they don't necessarily have the content. And you've got both of those things. And so, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That I really think, Spence, if you wanted to do something national, you could. But another thing, do whatever the hell you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Life's too short.
Yeah.
It's too short. Too many people my age are dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And too many people way younger than me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So every time I see something like that, I think, man, live your life.
Yeah.
Live your life, man, and do it your way. And, sometimes it works out, and sometimes you have to bend a little. But
no, it's great advice. And, Andy Reid, his 4 tenets, there was an awards dinner for Andy Reid a couple of years ago. He says the following: remove distractions, bring energy, fear nothing, attack everything.
Yeah.
That's what he tells his players. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. And the fear thing, that's a very real thing.
Absolutely.
It paralyzes a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame because, man, I once you get to a certain point, you look back and say, why did I feel that way?
Yeah.
Why didn't I go for it?
Yeah.
Why wasn't I aggressive about it? And I would say that to anyone, especially people out there who are just trying to find their way early on. You're well down the expressway now, but some people need to hear that early, and the earlier the better.
Yeah. And, I've just tried to have the mindset, if a door opens, just kick it down, go attack it.
Phillips, man.
Yeah.
Kick that door in.
Yeah, see what you can do with it. Doesn't mean I'm great at everything, but I'll try whatever, whatever. And this business, like if an opportunity comes your way, you've got to grab it by the throat. You know what I mean?
Yes, and you have, and this is good, man. This is good, and I wouldn't be surprised, Spence, if that ascent continues, if you wanted to.
Well, that's kind of you to say, and kind of you to be here too. By the way, give me an update. How are things? Everything
is fantastic, man. I got a great. I know there are people out there who are suffering and who have real difficulty in their lives, and so I hate to sit here and say, "Oh, my life's great," but man, it is. I'm fortunate in that regard. And there are bumps in the road sometimes, but I'm doing fantastic. Family's good.
Good.
Love my dog.
There you go.
It's not my dog. It's my daughter's dog, but somehow we ended up with it.
That's
Tell me how that worked.
My parents are currently raising my sister's dog. That's hilarious.
But, So anyway, life is fantastic.
Good.
I hope it is for you too. You're so busy now. Do you have time to do? I know you're. What are you down to? Are you like a 2? What's your handicap?
Oh, my handicap? No, I'm a 7'4".
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm still. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Get it down there because I think you can probably do that. I watched something for the first time the other day on TV.
What do we got?
I hadn't seen Gabby the golf girl. Have you heard of her?
I have not.
She's playing golf with Steph Curry.
Huh.
So I watched this, and she plays 9 holes with these different people, and they make bets.
Okay.
And it came down to a tie. Steph's a great
Steph is great. He's got a great swing.
He does.
Yeah.
And he didn't embarrass himself at all. She's like 18 years old or something. She was when she did this.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, man, she's a confident kid.
Yeah.
But she gets up there, and so they tied after 9 holes.
Oh, wow.
And it was a chip off.
Okay.
And literally her ball on the chip off was like a quarter of an inch closer to the hole than Steph's.
Wow.
So she won.
Okay.
She won. And I mean, it's just, I hadn't seen that before, but I was impressed. good golfers, man.
Yeah.
They are fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. I remember when Steph, his rookie year, I can't remember who it was, but somebody's being interviewed. I was watching it live. It might have been Dell. It may have been his dad. He said, "Man, your boy can really shoot it." And he said, "Wait till you see him swing a golf club." He won a tournament last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he won one of those Pro-Am tournaments.
that's right.
Yeah. No, he's a really good player. Yeah. And I'm working on it, but you know the game. I mean, when you think you have it, suddenly you don't. I did get new sticks. I picked them up yesterday. Let me give a shout out to Jordan Bloxham up at T-Box in Centerville. Go through the process of getting fitted. It will make a huge difference. So I've got my new bag. I'm going to go out this weekend and play and actually sign up for a Mid-Am qualifier in St. George in May.
Good.
So I'm going to go play some tournament golf.
Oh, fantastic.
Can have that experience.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Once you start, I used to, I did a story once for the LA Times on choking. I guess I had some firsthand experience at that, doing different things in my illustrious athletic career.
And which was illustrious, let's be very clear. Danny Ainge knows. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's still carrying that scar.
Oh, I can tell every time I see him, he brings it up.
Of course. Anyway, it's funny what the mind can do, the power of the mind.
Yep.
And what's the difference? How many times do you see guys who you out on the golf course, you say, man, that guy's got a beautiful swing.
Yeah.
Is he on the PGA Tour?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not. What's the difference? It's up here between the ears.
Yeah.
So it's that's a fascinating part of sports for me. Because I was thinking about when I was watching Steph play golf. He had a couple shots that were important for him to hole because he didn't want to get beat by this 18-year-old girl.
Right.
Who's, and I thought, what's going through his mind right now? I mean, this guy has seen pressure before, but it's the same freaking process. I mean, he and she ended up beating him, but only by a fraction. But I thought to myself, golf can do that to you, man, because the less you think, the better off you are. Probably.
Yeah, and it will elude you. And, it's like the old Jerry West thing, like the difference between good and great is consistency, and that's golf. Because last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, on Saturday, I shot a 90 at Bonneville, and I went, I still have a 90 inside of me. I didn't know I did. Then on Sunday, I shot a 74 at Mountain Dell, which is my career low. I've had like 4 75s. And I can't tell you what I did differently. I just felt better on Sunday than I did on Saturday. I think Mountain Dell Canyon is a harder course than Bonneville, but I shot 16 strokes better. It's wild.
That's the reason that the best golfers in the world have coaches.
Yeah.
Because they go through these stretches where they're shooting 80.
Yeah.
You go, where did that come from?
Yep.
A professional golfer who can do this in his sleep. Anyway, I'm glad you're attacking that. But it's kind of funny because if you want to be good at something, it's the same process we just talked about.
Yeah.
And you really got to work at it, and then if you have some talent, you can get it done. So I'm glad I'm glad one that you're doing that. I'm glad too that you find time to do it because it's not always easy to do that when you're working 3 different jobs. Yeah,
that's the issue now. Like don't have a lot of I'm not dating. I don't want to. No time or energy for that.
So you're telling me not to line you up?
No. I'm good for now. I'll let you know, though. Right. I'll get back to you. So my free time is golf or I'm hanging with my dog. That's really about it at this point.
Dog.
Duke's the best.
Dog.
Duke's the best.
I was talking to somebody about that. They were talking about a dog that had just died, and they were talking about how heart-wrenching it was, and a couple other people in the room were kind of laughing at it. And I'm sitting there going, man, you're either a dog person or you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then I'm not all that interested in talking to you. You know? I mean, dog people, it's just something. When you look at that dog and when you look at Duke and you look in his eyes, and he's almost got those human eyes because he's looking back at you, man, that's a connector.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about dogs is every moment is fascinating to them. They're sniffing the air. They're pumped, when they find something on the ground. You take them outside, they're running around, they're loving everything, and we're in our heads worried about everything. Yeah. They're great reminders of just how to stay in the moment, enjoy what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing. I look at our dog, our dog, and my daughter is threatening to take because my daughter lives in Miami, and she's going to come get him.
Yeah,
and that's going to break my heart.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, when my wife gets up and she goes on her walk, she goes on a 5-mile walk, and that dog, if I could find anything in life that would make me as happy as that dog is when she says, "Let's go."
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You'd be, it reminds me of the old cartoon.
Here we go. Here we go.
All you old folks out there remember Dick Dastardly and the Wacky Races. And he had a dog named Mugsley. Mugsley? What was his
You're
dog
asking
name?
the wrong guy.
I know. It's pathetic, really. But anyway, he used to throw the biscuit up in the air, and the dog would go and grab it.
Yeah.
And then he'd kind of float down to the ground.
Okay.
That's Mugsley.
What was the name of the Dick Dastardly?
Dick Dastardly in the Wacky Races, man. I'm going way back, and I'm sorry. I apologize. Because you get these old geezers on the air, and they start talking about what happened in the 50s or something, But that was I do remember that.
Okay.
I can't remember what I did yesterday, Spence.
Well, you remember the dog?
I remember, Mugsley floating back down to earth.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And if you're on YouTube, you can watch Gordon do the floating back down to earth motion with his hand. What one golf thought? Did you see Gary Woodland win the Houston Open?
I did not watch it, but I heard that he had.
I was watching. I was trying not to cry. This is 30 months after a brain tumor was removed. 7 years since his last win.
Yeah.
And he gave an interview to the Golf Channel 2 weeks ago about his PTSD. He almost walked off the course last year because there was somebody behind him and it spooked him. And his vision got blurry. He forgot what he was doing. He drove to the clubhouse, bawled in the bathroom, came out and borrowed sunglasses from his caddy so nobody could see him, went to his car and drove home.
Wow.
Like, this guy has been through the ringer, and he's got a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful children. By all accounts, he's a great husband, a great father, very well respected on the tour. And the same week he gives that interview about how hard it is for him just to get to the course because he's so scared, going back to what we were discussing with fear, he goes and wins the tournament by 5 strokes and sets a course record. When his wife ran out to the green, I was like, keep it together, dude. I was ready to bawl. It was quite a moment.
Well, people do superhuman things sometimes, and it's a tribute to him. But those moments, and Spence, maybe you can relate to this to some extent. But when you're battling something like that, and you're even though you have support around you, you're alone, man.
Yeah,
you're fighting that fight.
Yep.
And nobody, unless you've been through it, you think you can sort of think about what it was like, but you don't know until he goes through something like that.
Yeah.
And look at him now. I mean, that's fantastic. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
People that overcome, and it's not easy. And some people don't necessarily overcome by winning that tournament, but they come back and they do what they can. And man, I'll tell you, this life can be a battle at times. You see the movie One Battle After Another?
No, I heard it's good though.
It's one battle after another,
yeah,
man. Life can be that way. But if you find the good things, you find that those niceties, those good moments, then and I don't care if it's just sinking a 10-foot putt. Mm-hmm. Enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I remember I had never talked about my surgery on air before, and you had told me to do it. You said you should tell that story so people, can feel like if they're going through something hard that they can do it too. And when I read what Gary Woodland said describing the surgery and how it's never really something you fully escape from, it's like, man, he knows. Like, it's always there. And I had my surgery 21 years ago coming up this spring, 22 actually coming up in June. It'll be 22 years. And there's still moments where I'm like, that was wild.
Yeah.
I was told by a doctor, we're about to put you under to operate on you. We're going to take this tumor out, but there's a chance you're not waking up.
Wow.
And Connor was 2, and so for Gary to have these 4-year-old daughters and to go through the same thing, because the other thing, there's always this layer of guilt, right? Because so many people, our generation's thing, our generation's polio is cancer, right? Like it's our generation's thing. So many people go through it. And you say all the things you're supposed to say where it's like, oh, I just decided to think positive and I decided to do everything I could to put myself in a healthy space. So many people do the same thing and they die. Yeah. And so you're kind of like, why me? And then you feel guilty. And then you're afraid that it's coming back. Like every time your elbow hurts, you're like, it must be a tumor, right? Like your mind plays these weird tricks on you. So for him to overcome all of that, and to go perform like that.
Focus on that next shot.
Oh, my gosh, man. I am so wildly impressed with what he did. It was really, really cool.
Spence, and I'm glad that you shared your story because I did think that it would help people, and it probably has helped many more people than you know. But when you go through something like that, when you look at your body, when you're young, you just think you're immortal, right? You think you're going to live forever. Then when you go through something like that and you find out, man, I am human, and you look at your body and you're not sure you trust it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so to trust it to the point to be able to come back and then trust it to be able to perform better than anybody else in the world on that golf course on that day, that's something.
One more golf thing. Give me a thought on the Tiger stuff. Unfortunately, I could relate to two golfers over the weekend, and I don't know at what point does the golf community look at Tiger and say, look, we want to love you so badly. We want to support you so badly. But just another thing with, the most powerful athlete in that sport by far, I wonder how much of it has to do with Tiger being bigger than anyone in that space by far, right? Like still, no, and always will be. He changed the sport forever and for the better when it comes to the way players are paid and how many people are interested in golf. He shows up anywhere. He is the golden god of that sport.
True.
And when I saw the alert on my phone, I was just like, oh, man, at what point does Jack Nicklaus go Don Corleone and Godfather and say, love you, but you got to figure it out at some point. And when it happens and people have believed in you and it happens again, people stop believing in you. And they just do. You lose the respect of a lot of people. I can tell you that for sure.
They do, but again, they're human. And maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, Spence, but who knows what Tiger's going through. And I know a lot of people go through very difficult things, and I'm not making excuses for him. It was a painkiller, wasn't it?
It was not alcohol, and he had, I think it was hydrocodone on him. And it's a good thing to bring up, okay, because he's had 27 surgeries, and I would imagine he's just been able to get through all of them utilizing pain meds. And if pain meds ever get their hooks in you, man, oof, I've seen people go down the wrong path with those, and it snatches their soul. Yeah,
I've interviewed athletes who have had to go through that, and they said it is pure hell.
Yeah,
and so, but I make a living by at times being critical of people, but I'm telling you, Spence, that human side of folks. They don't know. They don't necessarily know what somebody is going through, the pain they're feeling. And so maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. Maybe I'm embracing God. Maybe I don't know what it is. But when I see a story like that, it's more sad than it is maddening.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
Now, if you're the victim of someone who you're hit by somebody like that when you're driving, then maybe you have a reason to have a little more edge to you. But people are people, man. Yeah. They make mistakes. They make freaking mistakes. And this is a guy who did more for golf. I put him and Jack are up there than anyone else I can think of.
Yeah.
And so is that a reason to go ahead and let somebody make mistakes because they're good at something? Well, he was good. He was good in a way that helped a lot of people. So I hope he can find his way. I hope he can find peace, and I hope he can the pain will relent.
Yeah, heavy is the head, right? That wears that crown. Yeah. I can't imagine what it must be like, because it's very easy to say you're a billionaire, figure it out. I know a lot of miserable rich people, okay? It's not necessarily something that solves all the problems. It gives you resources and the ability to do certain things. But that type of attention, that type of magnitude, the documentary that HBO did, the 2-part documentary, it was based on the book that was written about him, was an interesting reveal on exactly what it was like to be raised by Earl, and how difficult that relationship became, and then how he was, and he himself admits that he was the one obsessed with the game. He wasn't pushed into it. Earl loved it, but Tiger loved it. He always wanted to play. He lacked any social awareness or social skill because he didn't have a lot of friends. All he was doing was going to school and playing golf. There's this anecdote where he went out in New York to a club with Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter. So it was Jordan, Jeter, and Tiger.
Can't get much bigger than that.
And Tiger walked over to the two of them and said, I don't know how to talk to women. What do I do? And Jordan looked at him and said, tell him you're freaking Tiger Woods. Like, and Michael was right. Like, do you not really know exactly your power? And Earl talking about how one day he will be bigger than Jesus and crowds will follow him. And I don't know that he ever got bigger than JC, due respect.
John Lennon.
But when you look back on the Tiger galleries, when Tiger was Tiger, there were multitudes of people following his every footstep. And, obviously, to your point, the sadness is overwhelming because he marries Elin. She is a gorgeous, beautiful woman. They have a couple of kids. And it wasn't enough for him. Mm-hmm. It seems like he's always been searching for something, and you just wonder exactly what that is.
This is one of the reasons, Spence, and I've had kids, you've had kids who have been involved in sports. My number one thing is that they enjoy themselves while they're doing it, as opposed to putting pressure on them.
Yeah.
And I hear some people say, well, that's just life. You got to toughen them up. No, man, life is going to be hard one way or the other.
Yep.
Let them enjoy what they can as they move forward. If they're great at something, I remember talking to Jeff Hornacek about this. He said his dad was a coach, never pushed him. Never pushed him.
Interesting.
And maybe that was because he was so darn good.
Yeah.
But just let your kids be. Let them be what they can be. Yeah, encourage them, whatever, but don't put the kind of pressure on them. But in Tiger's case, he was putting the pressure on himself because he knew he could be great.
Yeah.
And he was he was going to be great.
Yeah.
And he was great, and he is great in a lot of ways. But these other things lagged behind. And, it's kind of, when you said that, when Jordan said to him, tell him you're Tiger Woods, the fact that that didn't dawn on him is kind of charming, really.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's naive. And you gotta figure. All of us have to figure out our way. Spence. When I go into a restaurant, and you know how it is when you have some degree of acclaim.
The VIP is here. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Mr. Monson, your table is ready. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
You just sort of have to.
Yeah.
Really. It's more like I was at a restaurant and I was sitting there with like 12 other people, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, "You're Gordon Monson, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I was waiting everyone was looking. And he goes, "My dad says you're the dumbest SOB on the planet." There you go.
Oh, geez.
That's life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, from the outside looking in, you think, okay, you're a billionaire, you own your own company. Most people believe you're the greatest golfer of all time. Yeah. You have it all. And then to find out that he is still fighting his own battle. I mean, it's just a really interesting life lesson,
And everyone thinks they want to be rich, they want to be famous, they want to be great, all these things. And maybe in and of themselves, those things are nice goals to have if you're wired that way. But, man, it is not the equation doesn't end in happiness.
Yeah, for sure. You referenced the piece that you wrote for the LA Times. When you were in LA, what did your license plate say? What did you have on your license plate?
Well, I had two.
Oh, I know you did. That's why I said plates.
One of them said 3 points.
Yeah.
And that was quite an accomplishment for a California plate.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of Californians.
There is.
3 points. And my other one said airball.
Oh, I thought it said swish. It was 3 points in airball.
3 points.
Okay, that's less pretentious than I thought it was. Okay. All right, coming up next, Gordon has actually been very busy writing about a lot of things that I haven't been able to talk to him about. I don't know if you heard, but Kyle Whittingham lives in Ann Arbor. And we now have some public information that you wrote a piece about that I'd like to chat with you about. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Devil on one shoulder, angel on the other.
There you go. I want to let you know that Weezer is taking over the Maverick Center on September the 15th. Tune in to OC all week for your chance to score a pair of tickets. More with my friend Gordon Monson coming up next on ESPN 700. We got Gordon Monson, old radio partner. SLTrib.com continues to put out great work live in studio.
By the way, when I hear this music, it brings me back to when you and I used to pick a band of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think about that sometimes, Spence, because you were introducing me to some music that I wasn't all that familiar with. And I remember educating you a little bit about rap, because
that's right.
I did that.
Remember? Yeah, that's right.
And it was fun to teach you a little more about it.
No, I did appreciate that.
Yeah, but when I hear a band that you used to pick, it makes me. I look back at that. That was Spence's pick.
That's right. Band of the day. We used to do that every single day. It was a sponsored element tied to concerts.
And I think one of your all-time favorite. Check me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it was Tribe, wasn't it?
Yeah, still is. Yeah. Every year, they do the Spotify Wrapped, your top 5 bands, Tribe and Dave Matthews Band, every single year. You can count on it. I have a hard time, finding new music. I like finding new music, but I just, if I go to a restaurant, I order what I know I like. I have a hard time, spending time trying to find new bands when I already know what I prefer,
So here's the radio question. You're on a deserted island, and you can only listen to 2 bands.
I just gave you the 2.
That's it?
Yep, for sure.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Because an OG in the hip-hop game.
Well, I don't like to talk about it much because I've scored like a double life.
It was.
People don't know because I seem kind of white.
Well, you are like the epitome of a white guy, but you could flow. You could flow. For our listeners that
a
are
little slow, but I get there.
It's all right. For our listeners that are confused, when Gordon and I did our old show, I actually was able to get him to rap on multiple occasions. We would get the minus track to Biggie songs. Yeah. You did Big Papa at one point.
I did.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
Well, you had fun with it, that's for sure.
Oh, I loved it. I just wish I still had access to the sound. I know that it exists. I just don't know how to get it.
I don't know if it's out there somewhere. Maybe it's just blipped on the way to Mars.
Something like that. But that was among several great bits that we did, in our 7-year time frame together.
But I remember you were very distinct in what you either loved things, or maybe there were some that were kind of in the middle. But you had strong opinions about what you really liked and what you considered garbage.
Oh yeah, no, I still very much do. For better or for worse. All right. Let's see how to unpack this. So when the announcement came down that Kyle Whittingham was, quote, stepping down, there were some undercurrents happening around the community that sounded like he didn't want to leave. He was forced out. He asked for an extension. It's Morgan's time. Money people wanted Morgan. Is there a fracture up there with the AD and the coach? No one fully knew, right? Then Utah releases the public documents a couple weeks ago. Now it's on record, and now we know exactly how it went down and really how uncomfortable it seemed to be. What's the net of it for you? Your main takeaways?
Well, first of all, I'm not. Maybe I'm getting skeptical a little bit on certain things, but I think some of that public documentation may have been redacted.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
But that seems to be happening these days.
It does. It does.
But overall, my feeling on it is Kyle wanted to stay. Was he perfect? No, he was not. He was kind of difficult. He wanted more money. He wanted certain things. He was making demands. And on the other side, you had an AD who was hooked in with Morgan, and you had boosters who wanted Morgan to take the job. There were boosters who were tired of Kyle Whittingham, and they wanted it to be over. And so it created this environment. My ultimate conclusion that I've come to is if I had been in charge, I would have let Kyle stay another year or so. I don't know if I would have wanted him to go on and on for more than 2, but because of what he had accomplished over his time at Utah, I would have preferred to pay him a little more money and to go ahead and let him do it his way because I think he deserved it. Was he a pain? Yeah. Was he skipping certain events that boosters wanted him to be at? Yeah, he was. But his team won 11 games. I mean, it's not like he was. It might have been good that he was stepping back a little bit because early on he just grabbed everything by the horns and wouldn't let go. So if it had been me running the show, I would have let him stay. If Morgan was going to jump to another team, then okay, then that's going to happen. And I really like Morgan. I think Morgan's really smart, and I know you know him well. And I think he's gonna do just fine. But there's just something about legacy coaches who have been around for a long time. I don't like seeing them shoved out the door, especially when they just won 11 games. I mean, or it was 10 before the bowl game.
Yeah. So. Any of the information that came to light, did any of it catch you off guard or surprise you? Any of it went, oh, okay, well, I didn't really know that was happening?
No, it was pretty much what I thought. Based on what I had been told, there weren't any big shocks there. But it did underscore the fact that both sides were imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kyle was being a little bit unreasonable in some demands, as he is wont to do from time to time. But I thought also that Mark Harlan could have handled that better than he did.
Yeah.
And it happened the way it did. And I think most Ute fans, and you probably get a better sense of this than I do, Spence, but it seems like Ute fans now have sort of crossed that threshold and are ready to move forward. And it doesn't really help so much that Kyle goes on to Michigan, a super high-profile job.
Mm.
And so if he does well there, then that might irritate some folks here. Not because they're vengeful in any way, just because it's going to underscore the fact that, hey, this guy's a hell of a coach.
Right. Yeah.
And you nudged him out.
Yeah, and, a couple of things, and I do agree that most people probably are just ready to move on.
Yeah.
And hopefully most people are still wishing Kyle good things. I'll certainly be watching Michigan football and cheering for Michigan to do well. And I'll always be a Witt guy. I will. I mean, I think if you're a Utah football fan of a certain age, what Kyle was able to do in 2 decades plus as the head coach is something that a lot of people never thought we'd see. You remember the WAC days, the Mountain West Conference days. We were both at the press conference when the Pac-12 deal was announced, yes, and everybody was celebrating, and Kyle was going, okay, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he was the one guy that looked a little bit like, okay, I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, and then it was kind of tough sledding at the start, but then they figure it out. They win, first division championships, then Pac-12 championships. They go to Rose Bowls, and I will always have a tremendous amount of both respect and gratitude, quite frankly, as somebody who went to school there and now is in this space, that Kyle built Utah football up to this level where so many people love it and are interested in it.
Well, McBride started the climb.
Yeah.
And then Urban came in and put him on the map. And then Kyle kept him there.
Yeah.
He kept him there. And through some challenges that grew greater as time went on. And I know there are some folks out there who want to run down the Pac-12 and say it wasn't all this and all that. But when you go into a new power conference like that, and bit by bit, it's like you say, it was just sort of this gradual climb, and you saw him work his wonders.
Yeah.
And Utah football, I mean, people know. I remember one time I was calling around the country before the season started. And this is way back. This is going way back. And I called up a bunch of media members, high-profile media members around the country, and asked them what they thought about Utah football, and they more than a few of them got it confused with BYU,
mm-hmm,
because BYU had the bigger name. Well, as time has gone by, Utah, there's nothing for anybody around here to apologize for Utah football. It is highly, highly respected around the country, as it should be. And Kyle was a huge part of that.
Yeah, the letter that Mark wrote to Kyle after, everything had gone down and they were discussing, instead of this 2-year you're now a special advisor where you make a few $1 million. When this was the one thing that kind of caught me off guard, said, quote, as you know, the university was disappointed by your actions last month. The university felt that your involvement with recruiting our football coaches and staff to Michigan was contrary to the terms of your employment agreement, which requires you to assist with a smooth and successful transition of the football program to the new head coach and his coaching staff. Your position was that this provision only prohibited non-disparagement, We have determined that a fight over this issue would not be in the long-term interest of the university and its football program or your legacy. As our longtime football coach, we have decided to look to the future, and we hope and expect you to do the same. Translation, we talked illegal, and we can't sue you. You didn't do anything that's illegal.
Yeah. And he might have danced on that line a little bit.
That's what I brought it. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Yeah. I mean, is there a case to be made that Witt pillaging the coaching staff and taking 5 really good players is not literally part of a smooth and peaceful transition, even though it wasn't against the terms of his deal? Right. If it was against the terms of his deal, they would be going after him.
Okay, so how do you define smooth and successful?
Therein lies the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's but knowing Kyle the way I do, and knowing, I mean, this is a guy who you can't believe how competitive this man is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that he was going about trying to tear down Utah football, but he wanted to give himself the best chance to move into a situation that he knows is going to be and is high pressure, and he wants to be as comfortable as possible in that setting in order to do his business now. Yeah. That's what he's looking at. Yeah. And I think he was looking forward, not back, and he wasn't trying to protect anyone. He was trying to boost himself.
Yeah. So the
$13.5 million. Yeah. To say goodbye.
Yeah. The transition bonus, $13.5 million. The plan was he'd receive the first payment of $8 million on January the 8th, and then January the 8th, $27, $4 million, January 8th, $28, $1.5 million. And look, now that we know exactly how this went, believe me, for Kyle Whittingham, who I guarantee felt disrespected because the counter offer they sent, we're going to send a babysitter up there. And everything you do has to be run.
Killer,
oh my gosh. That counteroffer was sent with this is enough for him to step down. Yeah. No way they thought he would take that. I wouldn't take that, let alone Witt. It's like, wait, what?
So the boosters wanted him gone.
Well, and yeah, I mean, ultimately that's where I do want to land. But when it comes to a guy, to your point, as competitive as Kyle, feeling like he was disrespected and pushed out, for him to say, write me a check for $8 million. I'm taking 7 coaches and 5 players, and I'm going to coach Michigan. You know that deep down inside, even though he'd never say it out loud, he was enjoying that dynamic.
Oh, unbelievably. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way he is wired, and that's the way I would say the Whittingham family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's wired to feel that way. Yeah. And he did. And I think when he walked away going to Michigan, he thought, gotcha.
Yeah. But to your point about the boosters, this is what I'll say, because there are a lot of people that I think have come down hard on Mark here. If you're an athletic director and 4 of your 5 biggest donors say, we're done with him, you don't really have a choice. You have to be the bad guy in a way to do whatever you need to do in order to make sure that you're keeping them happy. Because in this day and age of college football, if you don't have your biggest check writers on your side, you're cooked.
The question there, though, Spence, is why were they so freaking unhappy?
Well, I think you alluded to it.
They won 11 games. Yeah. I mean, it's not like, and I understand that they're paying Morgan considerably less than they were paying Kyle, but Spence, that's I mean, it's not like the guy was a dog. I think the fault I find there is that, and I don't know because I wasn't sitting in the meetings. But if I'm Mark Harlan, I'm doing everything I can to make connections with everybody on both sides of that issue. Yeah. And I'm working those boosters hard saying, okay, look, this is what this guy is doing. This is what he's capable of doing. What is it that he's not doing that is making you unhappy? Mm-hmm. And then try to solve that problem for a year or 2. Yeah. And then be done with it. Yeah. And I know they're probably upset with the whole, I'm not sure if I'll stay. Maybe I'll stay. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll stay and maybe I'll go. And people get worn out by that kind of thing. And Kyle was doing that. And I think it was legitimate. I think he really didn't know what he was going to do. Yeah. There were times when I talked to Kyle when I thought he's definitely going to be done. Sure. But and I talked to people close to him, and they thought the same thing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like he was sending out some sort of bogus signal to people. I think he really had questions in his mind. But when you're winning 11 games and you've got it nailed, then maybe you want to stick around a little longer. And if they wanted him to show up for events and wanted to boost the program and the brand, then talk to him about that. Mm-hmm. And then if he says, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm way past that now. I mean, do you kick Nick Saban out because he didn't want to go to an event? Yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying necessarily that Kyle is Nick, but I think he lives in the neighborhood.
For sure he does. No, I think your senses are exactly what soured the money people on Kyle. Morgan manages up in a way that Kyle, I don't think, ever wanted to or ever did.
Yeah.
And look, when it comes to people that are writing the checks of the sizes that these people are writing, and they say, hey, can you show up at this lunch? And he says no, over and over and over. Whereas Morgan is like, what time and where? Can you come golf with us on Saturday? I want to introduce you to my son. And Kyle says, I can't. And Morgan says, I'll be there. You know, like, I don't think it's that hard to really understand exactly why a lot of these big money people were just ready for a change.
Even if you're good at something, really good at something, it still oftentimes comes down to relationships.
Yeah.
And I think those were strained with some folks, powerful folks.
Yeah.
And you're right, Mark was kind of in the middle of all that. But I think maybe it's easy to side with the guys who have a bunch of money and you think that they are powerful. But I think there's also a place to sort of say, hey, okay, look, I love you, but let's think this through some more.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about what we're doing here. And that could have been done better.
Absolutely. And let me share this with you. The week after the Utah BYU football game, I was at a fundraiser downtown and randomly was seated. I'll tell you who it is off air. I don't want to bring it on air, but I was randomly seated next to a very powerful Utah money person, donor, booster. And I did not want to bring up the game. Okay. And it didn't for a while, but I'm like, I got to ask him, I got to just ask him before we leave. So as the dinner was ending, I turned to him and I say, hey, what did you make of the Utah BYU game last week? And he, for the first time, he turns and looks straight at me and he goes, field goals are important too. And I went, oh, okay. Like there's this undercurrent of a lot of people were ready to see this transition. There just was.
And because people aren't perfect. He still won 11 games. And I think if Kyle had been coaching the team, they would have won that 11th game. And when you're winning 11 games, okay, you lost your rival, and I know that's painful to a lot of folks. Mm-hmm. But I just think it could have gone better. But I also know that Whittingham is the type of bulldog who is going to lock horns, although bulldogs don't have horns. But he's going to fight. He's going to fight.
He is. Now what makes this truly fascinating moving forward now, as we move forward, it's Morgan's time, and I feel like he's ready for it, and I feel like he's ready for it now.
Yeah.
But now we know it's one thing to take over for a legend. Ty Corbin took over for Jerry Sloan, but Jerry retired. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to take over for a legend who didn't want to leave.
Especially when people thought you were sort of ambitious to get the same position.
Sure. And by the way, I would understand. Morgan basically has been the head coach in waiting 5 to 7 years. Had it taken from him for a minute, but it was restored after a few years.
Which was the right thing to do.
Sure. Will Muschamp left after a few years, and he's like, I'm never getting this job. I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. Right? So I actually understand if Morgan at some point is like, hey, hello, this was promised to me, and then we thought he was leaving a year ago. Now he's back, and you're telling me he's coming back again? If Morgan was getting a little antsy for the gig, totally get it, okay? Mm-hmm. But now the inevitable conversation this fall, if Utah's on the wrong side of a couple of games, will be, I wonder if Witt would have been able to win those games.
That's going to happen.
Exactly. And it's almost unfair that Morgan has to kind of wear that a bit, but it's just part of the dynamic.
One thing that is, okay, so I went, I don't know, Spence, were you there? Forgive me if I've forgotten, but Morgan had a get-together with the media members.
Yeah, I was up there.
Yeah, he was explaining some stuff. And
we kind of sat next to each other for a minute, but whatever. Moving on.
I remember that.
Okay.
Was that you?
That was me.
Oh,
I was there.
But he said something that I thought was really important for Utah fans to understand. And there is a comeback to what he said, but I'll get to that in a minute. I was really impressed by the fact he said, if you're unwilling to make mistakes, you can't learn. Mm-hmm. He hit that hard.
He did.
And I thought, wow, that was really impressive that he's willing to admit that. He's going to make some mistakes. Anytime, Spence, I don't know how you were doing anything you did for the first time.
Takes a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife told me that.
Okay, calm down. Let's not. Just keep going.
Okay.
We're good.
So anyway, it takes some time to eat. Some things, the more you do it, the better you get.
Let's just stick to the Morgan story, please.
So he will get better as he goes, but he's gonna bump and skid a little bit along the way. Now the counter to that is the Ute fan out there who's saying, "Wait a minute, man. When you get to this level, when you're the head coach of a major program like the Utes, then don't talk to me about learning from your mistakes."
Yeah.
You know, and maybe there's a point there, but I think people will have to be a little bit careful with that because Whittingham made mistakes too after all these years.
Sure.
And I remember Kyle said, he said, smart people know what dumb people have to learn or something like that. But he made mistakes even in his veteran year, in his last year. The field goal thing we can talk about and other things as well. So, but here's the thing. Morgan Scally is a very bright bulb. He's always been super smart, and he's going to connect the dots that need to be connected in short order. I really think he's going to do that. Now, are there going to be times when something happens to the team and he's not quite sure what to do about it? I do think there will be those moments. But whether it will cost them games or not, I guess we're all just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and it's one thing to talk about how the vibes feel good now and the building is energetic, and it is. We were up there. Everyone seems like they're in a good space. Let's talk come fall.
Yeah.
We got to see what this looks like in a game setting.
And some people are it's like anything, Spence. Some people are very skeptical, cynical about the whole thing. They think that it's really going to go bad in some situations. I don't think that. I think the Ute program is in good shape, and I really think Morgan. I'll say it over and over again. I know there are smart coaches who are not successful, but it certainly, when your acumen is at a certain level, it certainly helps. It helps in business. It helps in any kind of competitive setting. It certainly helps in sports. And the guy's got it.
He does. He's ready for it. He's ready now. All right, before I set you loose, you have a piece coming out tomorrow about the Utah Jazz. And you and I, for a time, worked for a station that was tied to the Utah Jazz. Really fun time. We had great access. Quinn Snyder, Dennis Lindsay, Gordon Hayward every week. I mean, we were spoiled in a way that I don't think we realized because nobody gets access like that anymore.
And Hayward loved doing it.
He did not. So much so that you asked him, have you ever read a book? I'll never forget that.
No, he was playing video games.
I know, but we were in it, and those interviews were painful.
Remember when we were at that grocery store that time,
yes,
and he's wandering through the frozen foods, and hey, Gordon, come over here.
Yes, because we'd ask him basketball questions. Look, I've always said this about him. I don't think he was smart enough to be vindictive. I just think he was like a guy who liked playing basketball, that wanted to play for his college coach, and everyone out here hated him. But yeah, during one interview when we were getting one-word answers, suddenly Gordon drops in with, have you ever read a book before, to this poor young man? But
what did he say?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I hope he said yes. I mean, he was in his 20s. Hopefully a book was read. But I told you this. I went down to the Golden State game.
He could run for president.
Okay. He snuck one in. Got one past the goalie. I wanted to see Steph. He didn't play because NBA basketball is fantastic. But I got there early so I could talk to people. I hadn't been there in a while as a media member. I'd been to a couple games as a fan. And everyone I talked to, broadcasters, marketing, PR, basketball side, business side, to a person, this has been hard on all of them. And one of them was like, at the time, he was like, yeah, we got like 15 more of these left. Now there's only 6 games left. Mm-hmm. So we're all just kind of like, okay, whatever, keep the draft asset. Let's see what the draft brings. Next year, they're going to have a roster where they're going to be serious, and we're finally going to learn whether or not this reputation Will Hardy has is earned.
Exactly.
So what do you anticipate next year for the Jazz before I set you loose?
That line is in the column.
Oh, is it really?
That's the same exact line. So you used to help me write those columns all the time. I miss that.
I did. That's right.
But anyway, I think the Jazz are going to be really good. And this whole idea, they got fined for tanking. Jazz fans aren't going to have to worry about tanking for a long time. I know the NBA is going to change the rules on the lottery and all that stuff. It won't matter because the Jazz won't be in that neighborhood.
Right.
They're going to, and you and I have been of one mind on. We were quite critical of the Jazz at times with their approach to what they were doing over this period of time. But I think that doggone, they developed some of these guys, and they are going to be good. They are going to be good. Now, it takes time to learn to do things, and even Will is going to have to learn to do certain things a certain way under pressure situations and whatnot. But with this stable of players they have, they're going to – it reminds me of a coach I had once who we were playing a basketball game. We were playing these guys who were knocking people around, and the coach turned and he said, "Hey, number 12, I'm going to turn my boys loose on you." And that's what the Jazz are going to do.
Yep.
It reminds me of when I was going to drag racing school.
Yes.
And, I was driving, piloting those that rail, with the balloon tires and the whole thing. And I was learning because I was at the school. And one time I went down the track and I forgot to shift into third gear.
Yeah,
because I had an automatic shift in 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And I neglected to shift into third, which I almost wiped out. But I wouldn't be here right now probably.
Careless.
But I was careless. But the Jazz are like that. They didn't even want to shift into third gear.
Yep.
They wanted to just develop these guys and get them ready. And then when they got Jaren Jackson, that's when it really told me, okay, they're ready to turn a corner. This team could have won more games than it has this year, obviously. I mean, half the team is at the hospital, it seems like now. I don't know whether they're being treated or whether they're visiting other people, but they're not on the court. They're going to be on the court next year, and if they're not injured, this team is going to be a playoff team. And I think it's just a matter of time before they become, back in the day that you were talking about, when the Jazz had, their various combinations of really good players, they always talked about being contenders, being real, authentic contenders. That was their goal. Guess what, folks? If the Jazz get one of these really generational players in this draft, you're going to see the Jazz contending. I really believe that. I think they're that close. But there's going to be some bumps in the road along the way, but they're going to get there if they get, especially. They're going to be a playoff team either way, but if they get the right player in this particular draft, then I think they will be within 2 years battling for a title.
Love that. Hope you're right. World Cup 2 months away. What do you say to Italian soccer fans?
Oh, man, I say be patient.
Yep.
I just don't think that they are prepared yet. They're not well organized right now.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have to get organized.
Okay.
And they're going to have to build from the back end and move forward with what's the right word? Kind of spatial scoring.
Spatial scoring. Also, just wanted to get a thought on what Tottenham did with De Zerbi.
I thought that was a bit of an injustice.
Yeah.
I think they cheated.
Huh. Well, they just hired him as their coach today. Is all.
Yeah,
they
but
did.
they stole him from. He had other opportunities.
Oh, okay.
They played dirty pool. They brought in. I think they brought in the cheer squad or something. I don't know. What happened, but Lord, man.
All right, man. Well, great to see you. My best to Lisa. We'll chat soon. Okay.
Go.
The soccer expert Gordon Monson on the program. The Morgan Scally era is here as spring football begins for Utah. Head to ESPN700sports.com for the latest coverage and sound from Ute Spring Ball. Coverage brought to you by Big Willie's, Game Day Men's Health, Burger Fusion, and Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Dave Fox stops by next on ESPN 700. Say again? I think one of my favorite moments on this radio show of all time, because we had Gordon Monson in last segment. And
your favorite moment's about to happen.
And Gordon, hold on, I'm getting there. Landing the plane. An infant. He is a child. Because Gordon brought up the fact that we used to have him rap on, I would just randomly, we'd play a minus track and Gordon would rap. And never forget on this show when we asked Dave Fox to name a white rapper and he said Robin Thicke. Never forget.
Yeah, what if...
Those are great too.
What if we got DJ Jazzy Fox to play a beat for rapper Gordon?
Why?
Look at you. Rap. No, you would be you'd be on the ones and the twos. You'd be providing the beats.
Well, I used to spin the wax.
That's what he just said.
Yeah, I used to spin the wax.
Nobody calls it spinning the wax anymore, Dave.
Well, that's what the vintage people call it.
Vintage. Hi, buddy. How are you?
Spinning the wax. I'm doing good. How about you? How was Cabo?
It was lovely. Played a lot of golf. Sat on the beach.
Did you go with anyone?
Yeah, I went with 4 buddies.
Oh, okay, good. Because I had some.
You had somebody what? No, you got to say it now. That's how this show works.
Somebody asked me if you went with a girlfriend. I said no.
Was it Kath?
No, was it? Maybe it was.
No, I did. That's not a thing for me, right? I have.
That's not. That's exactly what I said. I said that's not his thing right now.
I have 4 jobs.
Yeah, he's taking a break from that.
Yeah, no interest.
Yeah, it just messes you up.
It's energy draining, Dave. No desire for that.
That's why it's great being married, because you just understand. Well, I'm married to the right person that understands this career.
You know what's better?
And how it works.
You know what's better?
Not being married.
Being single.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good for you. I'm not going to say that.
Well, you married a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
You're one of the lucky ones. Yeah, she's let you hang around. Do you think she's going to hang on for the rest of it?
I don't know. It's seriously, how you sign like a year-to-year deal? That's kind of what it is.
That's what it is. We're day-to-day with Kath?
Totally.
Well, you got a good thing. Got a lovely family.
Yeah, thank you.
How many grandkiddos these days?
9.
9.
Including the twins at the end, the twinner boys.
Shout them out.
Identical twin boys. It's Jack and Cole.
Jack and Cole.
They're just over. They about 16 months, 18 months old.
Everyone's healthy and happy and good?
Grandkids?
What?
Oh.
Great grandkids?
Porter off the top rope.
No, you know what? I've mentioned that to my daughter, she has a son who's on a mission, so he'll be back in the summer. I said, you realize you could be like a grandma in like a year.
I wonder what will come first, Dave Fox, the great grandpa, or Spence, the grandpa. Connor's about to turn 25 in August.
That is a great little bet. But the thing is about, me being a great grandpa, it's not that much big of a deal because I have such young grandkids.
Yeah.
I mean, my youngest are, like I said, 16 months old.
Yeah. But you think
I'm fine with that.
But Kath's going to hold on for the ride at this point.
Well, I would assume, but that's up to her entirely. She brings more to the.
It's the right answer.
She brings more to the table than I do.
That's the right answer. All right, Dave. What's the latest over at KUTV? What do you guys have going on?
We have a new podcast.
Yes, we do.
Reality Check.
Yes, we do.
Checketts Reality Check, and you're going to be seeing it regularly. By the way, I don't mind putting this out there. The podcasting nowadays, it's like you have a YouTube page, as you're aware.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, and you have where the podcast itself is located, audio only.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also airing your podcast.
Right.
And we actually have a time slot. I'm not going to reveal that yet. But we have a time slot where we're going to be putting that every week.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Yep.
So we're excited about that and talking to ourselves, just humming along.
Yep.
It's just great. It's going good. I got great people there. Today's a perfect example. This morning, Utah State introduces their new men's basketball coach at 9 a.m., by the way.
Oh, that's not that early, Dave.
It is if you live in Salt Lake.
Yeah, I guess. But
yeah.
Let me guess. You made the drive.
No, Jenna did.
No kidding.
Jenna and Kayla went up there.
Yeah.
And then Adam's covering the bees. He said, I'll do bees.
Okay.
Because it's the opening day for the bees. And we televise bees games, by the way, on KMYU. I know you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Park's on the call. So just a lot of fun stuff going on. And today's really a busy day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going great. And
you'll
be in Thursday night with Dunny to do Talking RSL.
Yep. Episode 2 of my pod will be released next week.
Oh, I can't wait.
I've got 5 guests committed. Now we need to get the calendar dialed in so we can just get this weekly rhythm, which we're going to do. But, yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces. A lot of things have to fall into place.
And your podcast with Scally was awesome.
Well received. I appreciate everybody who checked that out.
Oh, so awesome.
Yeah.
And just not just X's and O's. Just you talked about so many different things. It was just great.
Well, Porter knows this. I always hesitate to go deep into the X's and O's and schematics because I don't want the listeners to be too bored and be like, listen to these football geniuses. I don't know what they're saying. And so it's like, you can't go too deep into the weeds there.
Right. That's why it's called the reality check. Because
Indeed.
this is the reality of what these people are all about.
Indeed. I've noticed a dynamic between you and Adam.
What do you mean?
You like to one-up each other.
Oh, did you watch last night?
I watch every night.
Okay.
I'm part of the family.
So I was giggling because, and Adam's thing is to talk about, when I
was
first
there.
met him, and I just thought, and I never do that. You know me because you and I have been around forever. I just don't do that. But at that moment, I thought, I remember something myself when I'd interviewed, and he talked about Donovan's mom,
Right,
Nicole, and I ran into her. It was a series against Houston. It was either Houston or OKC, and very nice. Went up and approached her and said, "Hey, could I sit down and do an interview with you?" And her daughter was there too, his sister. That's right, they were both there. And Adam at that moment was the photographer. He was with me.
Oh, he made that clear.
But and I knew that. That's why I brought that up because I thought, well, we were both there, but I was doing the interview and he was doing the shooting on that one.
It's a funny dynamic because Adam will go, my first interaction with Donovan was during the press conference for the rookies, and I'm 6'4", so I could take a picture, and then a lady asked me to take a picture for her.
Right.
And then he goes, and the lady turned out to be Donovan's mother.
Yep.
And then he goes to you, and you're like, oh, well, I interviewed Donovan back in the day, and you were there. And then Adam goes, yeah, that's right. I'm the one that shot that interview.
Yeah.
It's like this back and forth thing.
Before he went to me, though, don't forget, he also dropped Sam Merrill.
Yes, he did.
And he had interviewed him in high school. And then he said, and by the way, you went to Bountiful High School, Dave. And that's how it transitioned into. So it did. But I literally, rather than just one-ing him up, I literally said, I'm about to one you up.
You did. To your credit.
So I was full disclosure.
That's true.
I wasn't
That's
trying
true.
to hide anything.
It was good to see the second greatest shooter in Bountiful High School history here last night.
Let me guess. The other one won the state title in 1997.
Yeah, I mean, again, I leave that to historians. That's not an opinion of mine. I leave that to people that actually cover
Do
the
we
game.
actually know what his shooting percentage and yours were? And I don't even know.
Let's numbers lie all the
you don't
time.
want to mess with that?
Numbers.
Well, the current coach was your teammate, so I'll give him a call.
I will tell you what. I am so impressed with what Sam has done. Like,
other than last night, but you are correct.
But here's the thing. Even last night, he was 0 of 8 from 3, but he's playing really solid defense. He's attacking the rim in a way that I never thought he could as an NBA player. He is playing his way into a $100 million contract. I'm dead serious.
Well, he's got a big one now, $36 million, I want to say.
But he's twice the player now that he was when he signed it. I mean, that the type of work you have to do when you're not naturally Durant or LeBron and you're Sam Merrill, that kid has been grinding for years. It's wildly impressive.
Well, grinding is a great word for it because it didn't seem – well, he's always a kind of guy where you look at him and you go, this kid could be good or is going to be good. But when he was at Milwaukee, he was kind of in the shadows. Man, talk about finding a home and it just clicks. Kind of like another Sam, Darnold, who started with one of the worst franchises in all of sports.
Yes, he did.
And I know you won't even argue that one.
Of course not.
And now he's a Super Bowl champion. So you never know what direction. But I'm with you. I'm very happy for Sam, Bountiful grad, Utah State player as well. So it was fun to watch him. He did. Hey, everybody struggles. You know that. Everyone has an off night.
Of course.
He struggled a little bit. But you're correct. He did all the other things. Threw a great lob at one point in the fourth quarter, which was crucial. And you know how this is working for the Jazz. They make these little runs, and then they sit down Filipowski or whoever else they need to, and then the veteran team dominates the last 3 minutes. And Merrill was on the floor when they were doing that.
That's where we're at, where they sit Kyle Filipowski.
I know. We were laughing about that last night. I was talking to Kathy today, as a matter of fact. She says to me, I said, they almost blew this and won this game. She said, well, they just sit everyone? I said, honey, they're already sitting everyone.
It's entirely one thing to sit Markkanen and Keontae and Jaren Jackson Jr. When we're in the space where, hey, you're in for Filipowski.
I know.
Okay, we have jumped the freaking shark, dude. That is
unreal.
wild.
And it's happening.
It is.
Or Ace. You see one of them.
Well,
he stayed in. But...
Ace is awesome.
Oh, man.
Ace is awesome. Like when the availability report came out a few games ago, and it's like, hey, Cody Williams isn't available. I'm like, isn't that what these games are supposed to be for? Like, we want Cody to get minutes. When we're sitting the guys who, when the team is fully formed, are 8, 9, 10, and 11, and it's like, get Mbet Bang in here. Let's see Let's see what this kid has.
Schwebe.
I mean, I'm turning on the game and I'm listening to Bowler make his call, and I'm like, who is this? Who is this guy? Like, where was he last week?
And by the way, shout out to Bowler, to Thurl, to Alema, to Mike Smith, all those guys, Lauren Green, because they can't be as forthright about this as you and I can. You know what I'm talking about.
Of course. We all want to keep our jobs.
Right.
They've got to toe the company line.
And they've been doing a decent job of that. You know what they've started to focus on really in the last couple of games, and they will for these remaining 6, is the future. And they talk so much about that. Oh, I can't wait till next year. This is going to look great next year. And they're right. The future is now. The tanking is finally going to be over with. But, man, you look at all these guys and you wonder, how are they going to work into minutes next year?
Kennedy Chandler played 40 minutes last night. I didn't realize that.
He hits a couple of big threes early in the fourth quarter.
He was 4 of 16.
Yeah, but let me just finish this. He hits one or two, and then suddenly just starts throwing up crap. And I'm just thinking to myself that inside the mind of the coaches, it's probably like, atta kid.
Yeah.
Keep firing away. As Jerry Sloan would say, keep jackpotting away. That's what they wanted him to do, and yet they still were right in there at the end.
Kennedy Chandler played 40 minutes, went 4 of 16, had 5 turnovers.
That's perfect.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm sure Will's like, hey, let's drop a set for Kennedy Chandler out of this timeout. See if he can even hit the rim.
And you know what? Tomorrow, you know how this routine with Denver works. Every time the Jazz play him, they doesn't matter who's out there. They play him great for 3.5 quarters, just like the other night. And then Denver in the last 3 minutes said, all right, we're done with you, and finished it off. But that's how it's working. I'd rather have it that way than, a 40-point blowout every night. At least, let them compete. But you don't want to sacrifice your position. They're in a good spot with 6 games left. What is it? They're up 3.5 on Dallas. That's big. Dallas had a big win the other day. It really helped.
We went over the odds earlier. Right now they're at 5. Now, the way the lottery works is their most likely spot to draft is still 6 or 7. There's a 0.6% chance that pick falls to 9. 0.6% chance it falls to 9, because I don't think they're going to be able to lose their way into the bottom 4. I think the bottom 4 teams are pretty solidified.
Well, it's only 2 games in Sacramento. I mean, could they win a game or 2?
Probably not.
But if they did get to 4, then they're guaranteed they can't drop out of that top 8.
Right. But still, the percentages, like I want to keep hammering this home, because we do this thing. Like last year, the Jazz had a 14% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. They had a 46% chance to get the number 5 pick. They got the 5 pick. But for some reason, everybody around here was like, conspiracy theory, why didn't we get the number 1 overall pick? Because you had a 46% chance to land at 5.
Okay.
The lottery odds are flattened, okay?
And filing this under, so you're saying there's a chance. Don't forget what the odds were that Dallas would pick 1 and San Antonio would pick 2.
2% for the Mavs last year.
Absurd.
Yeah.
And yet it worked for them.
Right, because it is a lottery. Yeah. And that's how it works. It's just the conspiracy stuff. The NBA wasn't pining to create a dynasty in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. No, behind the scenes, Adam Silver's like, we need the burgeoning community of San Antonio to be the best team in our league for 15 years. Jokic plays in Denver. Giannis plays in Milwaukee. Can we calm down a little bit? This is not about the NBA hating Utah.
Look, all those percentages aside, you just got to let it happen. Okay, you hope for the best. You stay in that 5 spot, by the way, and I think they're really looking good for that. And then let's wait for the lottery and see what happens. I mean, we can sit here and argue odds, and by the way, you can even make bets on it. Don't worry about it. Just wait till they get there. You remember last year, was it Zanuck that was there?
No, it was poor Ashley Smith.
No, but there was somebody else that was watching it behind. I'm not talking about in front. In the back room.
May have been Zanuck.
And I think it was Zanuck. And he said that within a couple of minutes they realized they were in trouble because something happens on that lottery.
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
They knew they were in trouble.
Yep.
That things were being passed over. So they're gonna know in a hurry. But you know what? All you can do is hope for the best.
Yeah, when the teams that fall are revealed, I think the Bulls may have been the first team last year. So when the Bulls were revealed as like the 9th pick or whatever it was, then you knew somebody had moved up into the top
right,
3.
Okay.
And that happened twice before they announced the Jazz. And so you go, okay. But again, the Jazz landed where they were most likely to land.
And in the end of the day, this is going to work out, by the way. Ace, did you hear Donovan Mitchell in the postgame last night shouting out Ace?
He's awesome.
Very, very competent. Yeah,
Ace has a chance to be really good.
It really does. So it panned out.
Yeah, it did.
See where it goes.
It did. All right, let me get a thought from you real quick on the conversation we've been having about Morgan Scally. University of Utah releases the public records, athletic trib, everybody writes about it. So now the public is acutely aware of how uncomfortable it was up there as Witt exited and Morgan came over. When it comes to, so now we know Morgan is not just taking over for a legend. Morgan is taking over for a legend who did not want to leave. There's an extra little layer of pressure there because you know what's going to happen, Dave. This fall, if Utah loses a couple of games, would Kyle have won those games? You know, people are going to start throwing that out there because now we know Kyle didn't want to leave. It's just like a extra added and a little bit unfair layer of this when it comes to Morgan's task.
Well, that would happen if you're right about the early going of the schedule. I don't think it will because their schedule is pretty favorable. But that's just the nature of, you know, whether it's, I'm not going to just throw it all the media, but fans especially, that's definitely what happens. Now, a lot of this is it's going to be interesting to see because now not only are we paying attention to what Morgan does, but we're paying attention to what Whittingham does. So many different ways this can go. If they're both successful, it'll probably remain fairly quiet. But if either one isn't, the other side is going to have a heyday. And that's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'm hoping for both of them. I'm thrilled that Whittingham fell up, and I'm thrilled for Scally to get the opportunity. But as I look at both schedules, in the early going, I think it's going to take some time before we really figure out where their coaching expertise lies with these new programs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Utah's they don't play the toughest teams in the Pac or Big 12 this year, other than BYU.
Yeah, they get them at home.
That's a huge game, and they get them up here. Now, when you're Michigan, you have to play Ohio State every year. I think they have Ohio State in Michigan, by the way, and then Indiana, the defending champions, but they lose some people. So later in the season, it's going to get really, really interesting. But let's say they both start 5-0 or 6-0 or something like that. Then does it really matter beyond then, or do we still keep track of every little thing that could go wrong?
What we'll do on this show is track what the possibilities are for them to play each other.
Okay, that's right.
That's what will happen here.
But that would be cool.
That if there is such a thing as the football gods,
please
gift us Michigan and Utah, and wherever that takes place, we will move all of the entire show will be there.
Oh, everyone will be there.
Yes.
We'll take the entire newscast.
We'll
take Chase.
We'll do Talkin' Real live from that game.
Oh, that would be so
If
nice.
there's a football god, they will give us that.
Please.
David, great to see you, my friend. You got to get out of here.
Yeah, and good luck with Talking RSL this week. It's good to have you back.
And episode 2, Reality Check, will be released next week. Dave Fox stops by today, courtesy of Rounds Putt Lounge, a new client on the show. It's a really cool place, okay? You got to check it out. It's a really fun spot. It's called Rounds Putt Lounge. New partner, sponsor of our Masters tournament coverage. It's not your average putt-putt. We're talking a fully indoor tech-powered course with automated scoring, interactive gameplay, and leaderboard bragging rights. Bring your friends, bring a date, bring your coworkers, bring the whole crew, because whether you're competitive or just here for fun, everyone can jump in and play at their own pace. And it doesn't just stop at golf. They got a full arcade, great food like pizzas and shareables, and even a space perfect for birthdays, team outings, corporate events, or just an epic night out. Here's the kicker. Rounds start at just $12 with discounted rematches if you're ready for revenge. So whether it's date night or game night, make it around at Rounds Putt Lounge. Book now at roundsputtlounge.com and get in the game. More next on ESPN 700. Jazz are off tonight. Denver's in town tomorrow. Only 2 more home games left for the Jazz, so get down there if you want to see them before the offseason. Mammoth are off until Thursday. They're going to take on Seattle. That'll be a 4-day layoff. Utah Royals back in action Friday at 7. RSL Saturday at 2:30. Of local interest, it's opening night for the Bees, so shout out to good friend of the show, Tony Parks, and all of our friends out of the Bees. Hope tonight goes very, very well. Busy night in the NBA, as we do every single day. We look at games that feature 2 teams that are trying to compete. Knicks Rockets is one. Suns Magic is kind of one. Hornets Nets is not one. Raptors Pistons is one. Mavericks Bucks is not. Cavs Lakers is. Blazers Clippers is. We actually have 5 games in the NBA where 2 teams are trying to beat each other. It's a good night. It's a good night. Final Four will resume coming up on Saturday. So, yeah, pretty much NBA basketball, of course, Major League Baseball going on. Italy will miss the World Cup again. 3rd straight World Cup missed by the Italians. Pretty wild. So there you go. What's capturing the Porter Larson attention right now?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. The NBA basketball is getting compelling. And not only do we have games tonight that mean something, we are – 5, depending on which team you're looking at, 5, 6, 7 games away from postseason hoops. And, throw the Final Four in there, and it's my favorite time of the year of hoops accord. And the Masters coming up. We got a whole bunch. Tiger Woods announced today, while you were on with Dave Fox, that he is stepping away from, I guess, simulated golf. Probably the right call for the moment.
I was going to say, stepping away from what?
Yeah, he's stepping away. I don't know what that means, but he's taking a break from public life and paying attention to, stuff he's got going on personally.
Good for him. In fact, I have the statement. I thought Gordon was great with this today. The old saying goes, if you treat everybody like they're going through something hard, you're going to be right about 80% of the time. It's really easy to cast judgment. And look, if you continue this type of stuff, you do lose the respect of people. That's how it works. Believe me, I know. But here's what Tiger said. I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I am stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and work towards lasting recovery. I'm committed to taking the time needed to return to a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. I appreciate your understanding and support and ask for privacy for my family, loved ones, and myself at this time, Tiger. He's had 27 surgeries.
Yeah.
And look, this is not me on a high horse, but I have seen the effects of pain meds on people. I know you have too. I think it's a massive issue. It's now being more addressed than it used to be, but the opioid crisis is a real thing. When that stuff gets its hooks in you, it will snatch the soul of a human. And when you've had that many surgeries, like you're probably in pain every day. Find something else to do to treat it. But at the same time, it works for pain. It's a really fine line, man. So, I'm not here to cast judgment at all.
Well, and as you mentioned, the fine line is there. It's something that can completely consume somebody and completely control their operations, right? If you need to have a crutch when it comes to your pain, I'm with you. Find a different one. Oxycodone, opiates, not the way to go, in my opinion. Not a doctor. This is a podcast. Don't listen to me. I'm not a doctor. But at the same time, buddy, you have enough money for a chauffeur. Even if driving is something that makes you feel normal, as a lot of people in those positions have figured out. Get a chauffeur. Mm-hmm. He's rolled 2 SUVs now in the last couple of years. So thoughts to everyone involved. And, of course, hoping Tiger is back in a better, healthier place at some point.
Yeah, no doubt. It's easy from the outside looking in to believe a guy's got everything and his life is awesome. And then you find out that everyone's fighting something. So yeah, good reminder. All right. We will say goodnight. Porter, what comes our way on a Wednesday show?
Wednesday edition of The Drive, halfway through our work week. Craig Bolerjack stops by the program. Tim McMahon for our NBA Daily Assist. We'll get to a little bit of everything with our guy Kev Reynolds. And then Pablo Mastroeni on Real Salt Lake Strong Start and MLS Soccer.
There you go. So join us for that. Reminder, episode 2 of my podcast with KUTV and Sinclair will be released next week. Got a lot of fun guests lined up, so subscribe to that wherever you get your shows. Special thank you today to Chris Camerati, Gordon Monson, and Dave Fox. If you missed anything, the website is ESPN700sports.com. Make sure to download our mobile app and take us on the go. And then check out our podcast page in this space. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. It's available wherever you get your pods. He's Porter. I'm Spence saying goodnight. Have a great Tuesday evening. We'll talk to you on a Wednesday drive. And as always, you can get it right here